Hello, how's it going, everybody? Happy Monday. How are you, Conqueror? And Jake, hope you're doing well. All right, I feel like today is gonna be a weird day. I hopefully my internet doesn't bug out, but I had some internet issues about 30 minutes ago, so we'll see if they subside during stream. But anyway, how's everyone doing? Hope you're all well. And of course, as always, if anyone wants to share, one of the better days today. Oh, nice. That's good. I'm feeling good about today. This is what we did yesterday, or not yesterday, last stream. I was actually pretty happy with this, although it's funny, I remember when I was painting this, I was talking about how I wasn't happy with the goalposty thing, and then I thought I fixed it. Like I remember solving the problem, but now I look at it and it still has the same issue. I didn't actually solve it. I like ever so slightly moved this back and this one forward, but like not enough to, yeah. I didn't actually solve the problem. Anyway, I was pretty happy with it. One of the better. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, what are you up to? Are you doing any art? Any arting? All right, I'm just gonna jump right in and start painting. I think let's actually hold on before I do that. Let me come up with an idea. I feel like a specific thing, some like machine or kind of like that thing I did a while back. Maybe a like old lost to the you know to the sands of time sort of like things like technologies that have like almost like a lost city of Atlantis kind of vibes is what I'm going for today, I think. Sort of these like I don't know, ruins but sort of happy ruins, not like destruction but more like just remnants of a civilization. I might do something like that, which isn't exactly unknown. I've done a lot of that before, but it would be kind of fun to have sort of a similar vibe across all of my paintings. Working on something new, nice. Okay, somebody had mentioned desert last time, just as a theme. Maybe I'll just start with that. But I don't want to start with the sky. I want to start with the ground. And the reason I want to start with the ground, actually, let's stop do this. Ooh, what if I do orange, blue? Hey, Hazel, how are you? Ooh, this is weird. Some fun colors, I think. How are you, Hazel? This brush is something else. I don't know. I don't know how to use it. I'm just playing around, but it's something. Its weird stroke thing that it's doing makes it really hard to like paint things in perspective because it adds its own three-dimensionality to the strokes. So it's like, yeah, it's weird. I'm doing all right. Haven't done much anything today. I feel that. Sometimes that's okay though. You shouldn't beat yourself up over not doing anything. Howdy, howdy, says Captain Megabean. How are you, Megabean? Hope you're doing well. Okay, let's start with low. These are some wild colors. This is some wild stuff going on right here. It's weird. That's for sure. But it's kind of neat. Okay, I gotta stop using this brush though. It's gonna break my brain. I'm not beating myself up over it, but it's like I have things to do. I have to work on my manga, and I can't bring myself to do it, and it's annoying. That's fair. Are there things potentially that you could do that contribute without specifically doing the art? So, for example, thinking like doing research into, I don't know, whatever it is, right? I mean, I would have to know the theme of your manga, but let's say you were just, some adventure story or something, right? You could, I feel like there's always some sort of research or learning or exploring, right? Just mental on the mental side of things of like sort of what you could end like that isn't the physical drawing part, because I feel like so much of doing art is the process of, it's almost like a research project, right? Or it could be. Not everybody's paintings or stories are going to be a research project, but I feel like you could in some ways treat it as that, and maybe that's also hard for you to work on. I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. um But yeah, like, couldn't there be essentially an exploration phase where you're just kind of, browsing Pinterest, or maybe not Pinterest, maybe something not visual even. But it could just be going down the rabbit hole of interesting things that aren't really related to your story, but could be. And it's like using your story as sort of a catalyst to go out and learn more things or just do cool stuff, or I mean, it could even be a like I feel like you could even use it as an excuse to do things in real life. Like, oh, I just want to go, I'm going to go put myself in a new situation, right? Maybe your characters are in new situations, and it's good to remind yourself what it's like to do something or go somewhere that you've never been. And it could just be I feel like maybe I'm just speaking too broadly here, but that's, to me, that's like a big part of, like, I feel like art, the more that I think about it, the more that's the part of it that I like. Like, I look at things in a different way, even just like day-to-day situations, or I don't always, but I can look at things different because of, you know, there is an extra reason that I don't know. Maybe I'm not making any sense, but and I feel like you can justify other things, like I don't maybe that's just more of a trick to not feel guilty for not doing anything, because you're kind of justifying what you're doing in the moment as still being important. And I think that's what I often do. It's like, well, I may not be painting, but I can make an effort to observe my surroundings a bit more, or pay attention to the perspective or the compositions in this, movie I'm watching, because I'm actually just watching Netflix and not actually drawing or something. Um, yeah. I've tried doing so, but I end up feeling a bit restless. I feel mentally exhausted and don't even know why. Oh, that's fair. Yeah. And some days you just want to not do anything, and that's okay too. But yeah, I get it though. There definitely are days where you want to do stuff, but if you don't, then you feel like you wasted the day, or you feel guilty for not having done the thing. And I think that the best practice that I found for myself is just to find whatever reason you can not to feel guilty, because you shouldn't feel bad for not doing something that you were not clearly not in the mood for, right? It's And I think that's one of the luxuries of working on your own project, is that you can choose to do that, and I think it's a good thing that you can choose to do that. I think being guilt tripped into, like, oh, I have to work because it's my work, versus I should be able to do what I want when I want, and I shouldn't feel guilty for not doing that if I don't, like, yes, it's nice to be productive, but I feel like it's kind of there's this sense of like, what is your time worth if you're not doing this thing? And I think that's just not a good way of thinking about it. I don't think we live only to work and to produce more stuff. Like, I think you can still just, I don't know, maybe I'm getting too philosophical. Amontana, Wait, is it Amanthana as two words or Amanthana? Amanthana? I don't know how to say your name. I think I've struggled with your name before. But anyway, hi. How are you? And Basilisk, hello. And Hano, hello. Happy lurking. One word, Amanthana. Okay. Um, I've tried doing so, but I just end up feeling a bit restless. Oh, I already read that part. Okay. Hello, Zams. Also, I don't know what I'm gonna paint yet today, but I think I want to paint. Just start with something simple. Something. Find some fun colors in here. Gonna blur a lot of this stuff. We could put shapes in here. I understand, but I felt this for several days. I'm also just scared of being judged. Like, I'd like to just sleep and be left alone for a while, but if I do that, I get disapproved looks in the comments. I mean, yeah, that's true. Any advice for complementary colors with thin color gamuts between them? Oh, what I'm doing now? No. Explore. I mean, the same, I guess. I don't really have any advice because I don't typically do this. I'm kind of exploring it. But I mean, I imagine, and this is what I'd like to tell myself, is I think it's the same for any other way of color, painting with colors is, maybe the little complementary color or the little color variation, for example. Um, that's something that I would normally put into a painting anyway. Not quite like this. I wouldn't do this, but it's I do think it's good to vary your hues, which this is doing. It's good to have subtleties in value, which this is doing. Right? If I make it black and white, there's little subtleties, but not so much. Like they're still kind of grouped, right? Like you still have this is mostly the same value, this is mostly the same value. So I mean it's kind of the same stuff, right? Like you're still relying on warms and cools, you're still relying on value structure, you're still, at least I am. You don't realize there's other ways to do it. Um there's there's still ways of thinking about color that don't matter if you have a lot of. I mean, this is a prime example where when people say things like the color doesn't matter, it's the temperature and it's the value. That's kind of, I mean, I do think color matters. There are cases where it matters, but in if you zoom way out, the color doesn't matter, right? For all of if this is the pie chart for all of color, right? This is the pie chart of color. The actual color doesn't matter, right? This is like a tiny percent, right? Some fraction of the pie is the actual color. This is all the other things. This is value and color temperature and theme and does it match the theme, right? Does it what mood does it evoke and how how does the subject matter relate to the value structure and all that stuff is far more important than this little tiny pie, which is like what colors are you actually using. So I don't think it really matters. In that sense, color doesn't matter. That's my take. And I again, don't misinterpret that. Obviously it does matter because it's a part of that pie, but it so I don't know. I like, for example, if I'm struggling here, I might make it darker. I can go back to that other brush, but I'm not going to. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of the same stuff. Like, I don't really think about it differently. Right now, I'm actually not using that color subtleties, though. I've been doing research, and a lot of it pointed to dance around mostly. Yeah, I mean, the grays are what. I mean, I think it's far easier to add saturation to things than to remove it. And I say that because, well, I just think it is. It's much easier also to figure out which color you should add if you already have some color. But if you have a ton of it, it can be just overwhelming. I think sometimes it's easy to tell what something's missing, but it's hard to tell when you have too much of stuff, right? Like I think it's harder to remove details, or it's harder to remove things in your painting, and it's harder to remove color, right? I think it's just harder for us to remove stuff. It's easy to add though. So I think working in grays is a good solution. Also, I don't know what I want to paint yet. Ooh, but I like this shape. Hold on. Let's mimic this. I don't know what this is, but I like it. But yeah, anyway, so I do think working in gray is really good. And I'm just exploring shapes right now. Like even though I'm painting in color, I am really not painting in color. I'm just painting in shapes because that's all I'm focused on. I don't actually care about the colors at the moment. Kind of like these. It's like a desert or something, but maybe there's. What do I want to do here? I'm not sure. That's the real answer, is I have no idea what I want to do here. Yeah, I think painting in grays, though, is a good... I mean, I think typically when people talk about just painting, right, or with color, the advice is to start without color, right? And then you try to match your value structure so that if you have a dark shape in the middle, you try to keep it dark. And then if you have a light shape, you try to keep that light. So once you start adding color, you're just trying to match your values. And that's kind of what I'm doing here, except I'm just trying to figure out my values, which is why I'm adding like bright to the foreground, because I don't actually I'm not worried about the color. I'm trying to increase the brightness in spots. Or maybe there's a bit here where I want to really crank up the brightness. I don't know. I'm still in my warm-up mode for the day of exploring ideas. I mean, most of stream is exploring ideas, but yeah, this is my... yeah, my homework had me do value and lighting studies first, but now I got the color. But now I get to color. Yeah, so I think here, let me back up. I think that is a good way to think about it. And just from a process standpoint, obviously you don't have to work this way always, right? This is like the first step of how you figure out how to work this way. But let's say you do a black and white thumbnail. I'm gonna make 3 layers here. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna make 3 layers. One. No, I'm gonna make 4 layers. I don't know if this is gonna. I'm not gonna be able to keep my layers straight. I know it. Um, and then I'll do one more, which is gonna be bright. So if you have like your 3 value layers, gosh, this is gonna be impossible. There's no way I'm gonna. Oh wait, no. Yeah, it's gonna be like impossible. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna merge them all together. I'm gonna ignore what I was doing. But yeah, if you have your values, right? Maybe you want your darkest value in the middle. I don't know. I'm just still doing it. Let me do a quick black and white thumbnail real quick. I'm just gonna put black and white in the middle. Also change my brush so it's a brush I have control over. Maybe there's some things like this. Maybe there's some shape in the middle. Maybe I want it down really low. I'm just trying to figure out something, and then I can talk about color. But I think it is good to focus on stuff like this, where you're just making your shapes, you're focused on your composition. Maybe there's a focal point in here that you like. Or maybe not. Right? Maybe you get your values in here. I don't know. I think these values kind of work. I realize I'm kind of breaking my value. Anyway, well, let's say these are my values, right? Just trying to figure out what I want to do here. Okay, so let's say this is my composition, right? It's something. What I guess the next step would be to, I guess from here I would go one of two places. The first place is either you could jump straight into color, but even if you were adding color, right, you're allowed to stick to your values, right? Like if I take, say, this dark value and go to the next one over, or let's do it light to dark. If I go to this light value right here, and I grab that and I paint very, very lightly on top of this dark, I'm not going like full lightness, but just a little bit. This little variation, like I could have any color in here, but and you're just playing within this variation. So I think that would be like my next step, which is have variation, but you could also do straight to color. And this variation is like what you'd see up here, right? Like, if I made this black and white, this is what I think it's okay to add, and it can actually be really smart to add this variation, because this is what makes textures, this is what makes things look like the thing that it is, right? And then from here, you could start doing color, right? You could either just paint it on directly by shifting the hue a bit, and being like, I'm gonna make this stuff green, and then you could start adding green, just manually, but keep it the same values. Or you could do like a color layer, right? If you did like color layers, right, maybe you want to do warm and cool, which is what I'm going to do. So maybe, I don't know, let's do like a green sky or something. Or cool green, kind of warm, though I'm going to treat it as warm. And see, even here I'm adding color variation, right? And then maybe in the shadows I'm going to go more purple. But see, maybe I don't like how purple it is, so I'm going to tone it down. But I don't want it to be so gray. Maybe there's going to be some purple in here as well. Maybe this is also all the shadow. Right, so I'm just adding variation, and I think that's okay, because I'm not trying to really color this image right now. This is just me blocking in stuff at the top, or at the start. I personally don't like coloring with color layers. I think they're hard to use. So I'm just going to abandon it here, and this is where I start exploring, right? Like, what if my sky is blue? I don't know, let's just paint in a blue. If I make it black and white, you can see that my values, I'm trying to keep my values pretty similar. Right? I can add a little bit of, again, I can add a little bit of variation. Oops, I actually was painting in gray right there, but that's fine. So maybe there's some blue. Maybe I want it a little brighter to actually match the value. Again, maybe these things aren't green. Maybe I want them red instead, right? I can just, as long as they're kind of the same value, it's probably going to work okay. Again, not great because my colors are all over the place, but it's not bad. You messed up by staying. Well, no, I don't think it's bad. Like, I guess another way you can do it is if you pick the color that you have, see where I am in the value, you can go to any color. You can add it literally, look at what I'm doing. Literally any color. I'm just moving it. And I'm just wiggling it around in this area. Without even thinking, I mean, I'm kind of thinking because I want it to be a little bit cool, right? But you can paint anywhere in this shadow. Once you've decided this is a shadow, you can move it anywhere. Just wiggle it around. Maybe you wiggle in the grays, right? You can have it a little bit more blue. Maybe you actually want some of the blue to show, right? Maybe not. Maybe you come over here and you want it to be darker, right? Or you go up here and you want, I don't know, saturation. Maybe that'll look weird. I don't know. But for the most part, if it's the same value, you can do whatever, right? It really doesn't matter whether it's dark and saturated or whether it's dark and desaturated. Like, it's good to have that variation. And of course, you can also use that variation in value, because there is going to be some, to help carve out the forms, right? Not every form needs to have the same value, right? Because there's going to be like ambient light. So yeah, you can do whatever you want with color, and it almost doesn't matter. But again, as long as you focus on the value, right? So if you're focusing on value, color isn't that important. Right? And of course, I can still come in here and add additional things, but I am still thinking about values, right? So here, let me turn to my screen to grayscale. So like, if I want to add something, say, I don't know, a little hole, some negative space back here, I'm just going to grab the dark value, right, and paint it back. It doesn't really matter. Maybe there's a tiny little shadow up here. Again, I just grab this color, whatever it is, right? You can see my color wheel jumping around because I made these all sorts of colors. I'm just grabbing something and painting in here. I don't even know what color this is, but it doesn't matter because it's going to work. And the reason it's going to work is because it's a darker value. Also, my computer's freezing. I don't know why. Hold on, what? My Alt key is broken. What the heck? My left Alt key just stopped working. Hold on. I hit the wrong button. Hold on. I did the thing where the... What happened? Where did my screen go? I've lost it. There we go. So why isn't my Alt work? Yeah, my Alt button's not working. This is gonna drive me insane. I don't have an Alt key. I can't color pick. I don't know if I can stream it like this. This is actually obnoxious. Hold on. I don't know what... Let me try to... I don't think it's the program, though. Control-Alt-Delete. Yeah, it's just not working. My keyboard just broke. Do you have an extra keyboard? I do. Oh, wait. Control-Alt-Delete worked. Hold on. Cancel. Is it working now? Oh, it's working. It's back. I just... Well, no, it wasn't. There wasn't like a sticky keys thing. Like, nothing popped up. And I pressed it. I just pressed it really hard. I don't know what happened. Something, it just malfunctioned. But anyway. So yeah. Oh, it did it again. What's happening? Huh, I don't know. I'm something weird, funky is going on. Anyway, so what I was saying was if you want... Hey, Majar, how are you? And Juralis, not Juralia, Juralis, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, it might have been sticky keys or something. Anyway, but yeah, so what I was saying was if you want to add a shadow up here, right? I'm going to make my screen black and white again. And then I'm going to let you guys see it. Like, it doesn't actually matter what color I'm picking, because what matters is that it looks like a shadow, right? Like, it's the value that matters. And I can just play around with any color. And so, and same thing, if I want to, carve out shapes and do an overhang, maybe there's random shapes and stuff, and maybe there's some other shapes in there because this doesn't look very natural. Whoa, we're getting raided! Silas, say, how's it going? Welcome, raiders. Welcome, welcome. How are you? How is everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for the raid, Sil. Also, I've turned down my alert volume really, really low. Yeah, so we were just talking about colors and how to color potentially black and white stuff, and me going on my rant about how I think if you're just trying to grapple with colors, thinking about everything except color is more important. But which is always like the advice nobody wants to hear, right? I don't know. Maybe it's the advice people don't want to hear. It's like, oh, you want to work with colors? You can paint with colors, but just don't think about it. Or it feels a bit like the when people ask like, the first question is like, "Hey, I'm new to digital art. Which brush are you using?" It's like, well, here's my brushes, but that's the least important thing if you're totally new. Anyway, Maddie, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Sil, how was your stream, Sil? And I don't know if you're here. I know sometimes you raid and run, which I do too because it makes sense. But yeah, how was your stream? This answers were in my drawing the whole time. The answers were in my drawing the whole time. What do you mean the answers were in your drawing the whole time? I'm not sure what you mean by that. But anyway, welcome in everyone. My name's Joe. I paint environments. Typically, I start the stream by doing a bunch of just blobby thumbnail sketches to come up with ideas, and then we vote on one. But I've already gotten carried away in my rants today, so we haven't really done much yet. But yeah, I guess here let me bring up like I don't know my DeviantArt or something. I guess I'll just give a quick gallery tour. I don't know, something. Anyway, here's a bunch of stuff that I've done. Also, ignore the ads. I'm on Microsoft Edge, the browser, and I don't have any plugins or anything added. So it's just a totally obnoxious. So yeah, you're gonna see random ads. But anyway, here's some of the stuff that I've done. I do a lot of this kind of thing. I don't know why I'm clicking on my own art. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of little starts out as color blobs, lots of environments. Sometimes I add animals or characters in them. Um, I also do like some occasional creatures like a dragon or what have you, little mouse stuff like that. That's mostly what I do. Uh, uh, Gibbsy, thank you for the follow. This is insane, and it's not that insane, but I appreciate it. But yeah. So anyway, I'm a huge advocate that art, is a skill anyone can learn, and I just like painting environments. Yeah. So that's mostly what I do. I do a lot. I've done pretty much all these on stream. I haven't actually uploaded stuff too recently. This is the last thing. I don't like that this adds. Anyway. So yeah, that's what I'm doing today. Starting out with thumbnails, then we vote, and then but yeah. Anyway, what was Sil working on? I assume Sil's not here. She's probably getting food or something, or just standing up in general after a long stream. But yeah, what was Sil working on? I think actually I know because I was lurking, but I think she was doing she was starting a new sketch, right? I think she was collecting references I saw, and then she was starting a sketch or something, but I'm not totally sure. If somebody wants to fill me in, let me know. I love your art style, and I want to learn making backgrounds like you. You're my inspiration. No. Well, that's very kind of you. I appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, like, I always talk about my process and how I think about stuff. She's sketching a horn. Well, that doesn't tell me anything. She's always sketching hornblades. That's like saying, oh, what's Joe working on? He's working on an environment. It probably has rocks in it. You don't say. But yeah, no, yeah, her Sill's art's always amazing. She's great. She is a huge inspiration. Although I haven't been chatting much at all, not just in her stream, but in any stream. But I was lurking. I was there today a little bit. Anyway, what if we just added like foliage on? See, this is so we went from grayscale to this, which obviously the colors aren't amazing right now. And this is where I would start just adding things like foliage, or maybe yeah, just like silhouettes of stuff and shapes and little things that are going to imply maybe there's a little character in here. Um, this is just where I gotta continue my sketch because I already have, and, you can do things like make sure there's not weird tangents. Maybe there's a tree, a couple trees. Maybe there's another tree here, which is going to be weird because it's kind of just dark on dark, but that's fine. Anyway, so yeah, there's a quick environment. But yeah, thank you for the follows, everyone. Sophie, hello. Hello, hello. All right. Next, so I'm gonna do another. I don't know what this one is. This is like a little warm up, but I'm gonna start another one. I'm just gonna start with random blobs today, or more random blobs. Let's do something with a lot of red. Just some various red colors. Actually, hold on. Let's start with a lot of gray, and then I'm gonna add red to it as I go. So maybe it's like a hellscape or something. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe there's some orange there. Maybe we get some. What else? I do like the red though. Actually, the red could be like no, that's something I've never done. Like what if we did like a like a lava kind of lava thing, but we have like flowers. Like imagine you go to hell and it's super beautiful. It's actually like a floral landscape or something. There's like flowers, but they're like hell flowers, whatever that would be. Like these, it's very red, but it's still like beautiful. It's still beautiful. Like, because people always depict these scenes as like these rocky, volcanic looking areas. But what if it were like life is thriving, in hell, right? You have all the hell flowers, all of the, like the heat isn't a negative thing. Things are thriving in heat, right? Like we always think of things like, oh, plant life is thriving as like as like moderate temperatures, right? It has sunny, it has cool. But what if it was just like, I don't know, life is thriving in hell? It doesn't have to be hell, but just sort of these harsh environments. So I'm gonna maybe do that. It'll give me an excuse to paint with lots of dark colors or lots of bright colors, I guess. I'm gonna add some warm and cool. So the red can be like flowers. We already have this little shape in here that I think is kind of cool. We will duplicate it. And then the flowers are going to be red. Maybe this landscape is, I don't know, lots of cliffs. We could do some cliffs, but then we have to have like lava falls in here as well. I don't know how to make it beautiful though, but we can do that. We can add in. Yeah, let me do like an overlay. I want to see what this looks like. Overlay. I'm just gonna drop in some like red orange. I'm just gonna bring this whole thing a little bit more red, and then I'm gonna. Okay. Scruffy Burr, thanks for the follow. I'm gonna now try to reintroduce some grays, maybe with some like some blue gray for the. Maybe there's some, I don't know. I feel like there should be some flowers in here. They could be orange. They could just be the red flowers. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe we'll put some really dark shapes in here for like the negative space, the flowers. Instead of painting the actual flowers, I'm just painting the negative space so that because I don't want to detail. Detailing is not for like an entire environment. You don't want to get caught up in details. Details are the the bane of my existence. So I just don't do them. I just avoid them. No, I eventually will detail. Also, if this is doing like trypophobia stuff to you guys, I apologize. Um, I don't know. I can probably make it not. Anyway, there's some flowers. What else? I feel like we need some nice lava paths in here. Like what do you call it? A river of lava. Wait. Something like that. A little river of lava. I wanted to make this, though, look like these are sticking up. So I wanted to make sure this lava river is popping into behind this. Just trying to separate this layer. Because right now, one thing that I know from experience that if I need clear layers of like foreground, midground, background, and this is going to be a foreground layer, so I want to actually maybe just even intentionally go back here and gray out some of this stuff just to make this separation just a little bit better. This is just like a vast landscape of... Anyway, adding in some scribbles. A flow. Yeah, just some lava. Maybe there's some... Something like that. I mean, it's not super beautiful, but we could do like see what happens if we added some glow dodge or color dodge. Maybe we get some pink or purple or something in here. Like a morning sunset or something. Maybe what if we just did red? It probably won't look great. Just super bright. Or what about yellow? Oh, ad. Oh, there's an ad? Wait, what? Oh no. Why are there ads? Are there actually ads? Raider from Silas A is what it showed on my name because I was in Sill's stream when I was raided, so it's recognizing that and it's flagging my own message. Welcome back. Wait, why was there an ad just because you just join the stream or did it just pop one up randomly? Because it shouldn't. I should only have pre-rolls. Okay, so you did just first join. Okay, I see. So you left and came back. Gotcha. I thought maybe an ad just randomly popped up because I thought that's not supposed to happen. There should not be ads on my stream outside of pre-rolls, which I have no control over unless I run ads. Ooh, I like the idea of this little bright light back here. And then, yeah, maybe just a little bit of a glow. So I'm going very saturated. But anyway, so this is another thumbnail. And I like to do little thumbnail sketches like this to get ideas. They don't have to be the final product in a painting or anything. This is just a quick sketch, and then it's something that we can, go on from. Color dodge moment is still so satisfying. It is. Color dodge is great. Although I will say I didn't know if color dodge was gonna work in this because it was already so saturated. And typically what I would advise is, if you want to use color dodge, make your painting a bit more gray so that the color dodge can actually add colored light as opposed to just change the saturation. Because if you already are full saturated, you're not going to get anything, right? Like if I just add fully saturated, I don't know, pink, right? Or almost fully set. Oh, that's not. Right? If I have fully saturated pink, let's do a few different colors to experiment while we're at it. almost fully saturated colors, right? And I color dodge them. Gosh, these hurt my eyes almost. It's so much. And I do a color dodge, and let's say I do an orange color dodge, right? Like this isn't, basically it's not changing it, right? It made the yellow a little bit brighter somehow. But like for the most part, it's not affecting the pink, it's not affecting the other pink, it's not hardly affecting the orange. Like it's basically not changing it, right? Like it still just looks bright, like bright colors, right? Um, like these three right here, color dodge more or less isn't doing anything. So yeah, if you are using color dodge for dramatic lighting, I do recommend don't paint with full vibrant colors. Try to, just adding a layer of gray on top of them, right? Like this, where I make it very gray. Even that'll make color dodge look beautiful, right? Because now we have the actual colors poking through, right? Whereas before it was gray, and now it's affecting all three of them, right? You have the pink is affected, the red's affected, the yellow's affected, and the orange. Instead of just the yellow, right now, or look over here where it was just gray before, like that's making it look super bright. Anyway, color dodge definitely is good, but it's not bad to gray out your painting first. And in fact, I could actually do the same thing here. I could just take gray at the start and paint it over my painting into some of the shadows, or maybe like a blue, not actually gray. Just to make sure those lights shine a little bit brighter. And then I could go back in and color dodge if I wanted. I'm going to leave it like this, though, because I think it looks nice with a little bit of gray. And also it would make sense if stuff is burning. Anyway, next thumbnail. I'm going to flip the canvas. I'm going to go over here. All right. This time we just had a very red. Let's go to the other side of the color palette and do blues. Let's do something. What's blue? I don't know. We could do something in the sky. We could do. Actually, that would be fun. What if we did like a hill in the sky? So blues and greens. Or it doesn't have to be in the sky, but just like we're looking up in. Yeah, we're just looking upward. So our eyes are down here. You can establish that by drawing your horizon line, or in this case, I'm just doing some horizontal scribbles that imply where the horizon line is going to be. You don't have to do that, by the way. So let's keep it quite gray. And these are going to go upward. Now I'm thinking about composition. Almost only composition, actually. Because we already have some colors figured out. And I kind of want something kind of flowy where we have, I guess, kind of like that. So maybe some shapes up here is the main focal point. Or actually, the focal point... Oh, I have a better idea. Let's do this. The focal point will be in the middle. Something like just some random shape. And then I'm going to select the inverse. I'm going to make it a little darker, I think. I don't normally do this. Normally I have my shapes purely silhouetting the skyline. But I think it might be nice to do, and maybe I still will. And maybe it could be like a house, or maybe there could be a bunch of houses. It could be like an entire castle. Got to take your hospital band off today. Oh, nice. Congrats. So was it, I don't mean to pry, but was that just for, I don't mean to say just like it was not significant, but was that, for anemia? And did you have to, like, take, iron supplements or something to get your levels back to normal? What was what was the process like to sort of fix the problem? Also, what's okay? I do have music. Okay. Yeah, so I'm adding some green. I like the idea of like green hills sort of rolling off in the distance. Actually, I have this little bit of gray back here, and I kind of like it. It was sort of unintentional because it was just part of the the background, but I'm gonna just lean into that, make it a little brighter. And then this could be another layer. This could be yet another layer. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so it was for anemia. I got blood work, but they said that's not the only thing wrong. I took some iron, and now I have like 3 appointments scheduled for tests, but I won't get into it since I don't even know what it is. Okay, yeah, that's good. I'm glad they did some tests, and or they will, and good luck figuring everything out. I know that can be really nerve-wracking, but it sounds like you're. I think the main thing that's hard, but is just to essentially trust medical professionals in that situation because there's not like, yeah, I think it's hard. I think some people, I have a coworker who is, whenever there's anything wrong, he expresses so much doubt and concern over everything to the point where like it's almost like he's like hesitant to sort of trust doctors at all, even though he still will go to them when he has to because he doesn't know what else to do. So it's like something will be wrong, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I have to go to the doctors," but they're probably gonna miss it or misdiagnose or do more harm than good. I'm like, "Oh my God, just stop!" Like, obviously stuff could go wrong, right? That's literally life, but those are the most, like we have these systems of trusting people who know what they're doing because they dedicate their life to studying these things or to at least understand it. Now, and obviously there's variance in how good some doctors are and how good there's variance in people in every profession, but like it's still the best we can do. So this like you should take some comfort knowing that you're doing the right thing as opposed to not going to the doctor. Like, I don't know. To me it's wild. Like I get that there's concern for stuff. Like it's one thing to be concerned for your health, but like if you're doing the steps, I don't know. It's maybe I'm just more trusting or maybe it's just cuz again I feel like it's just the best solution. It's not foolproof, right? But I don't think it helps your mental health to be so skeptical of people who are experts in their field. Like that's literally the best system we have is to trust people who have done the study. So yeah, anyway. And yeah, I get it. Sometimes doctors goof up or there just isn't, they don't know everything, of course. That's why it's a diagnosis. Not just a problem. It's not just solving. They have to diagnose. Anyway, like they don't know when you go in, right? They have to figure it out. It's the process. And yeah, I think it's good to just remember that that's the best we have. Anyway, um, do I like? I think I had some nice shapes here and then I ruined them. I'm not distrusting doctors though. I get not considering I've had some. Yeah, I mean that's the thing though, right? Everybody's had probably a bad experience, right? Whether it's they were rude to you or maybe they insisted on something that you didn't feel like you need or you didn't understand their process or like there's always going to be issues or maybe they totally missed something. And again, second opinions are always good too, right? Unfortunately, we don't all have a ton of money, and we can't always go get second opinions. But and yeah, they can make mistakes, but I still think that's it. I think having a bad experience shouldn't make you, on the whole, mistrust them, right? Um, because I think that's just bad data analysis. Like that's using a data point of one to say I mistrust the system. Like even if they're 95% accurate, of course it sucks when there's that 5% that they're not accurate, right? But but name a better method that gets better than 95%, right? Like there's not, like it's still the best we can do. And it's it sucks that there's issues and things can go wrong, and um so yeah, I don't know. I also realize that for different demographics and different times in history and different locations and countries and different policies and states, and there's other factors that make certain systems better or worse. Like when you have a system that is so bogged down that they schedule an appointment, a year out, and that's the most for an urgent medical procedure, and by the time it comes around to you getting in there, they it's too late. That actually, I think that happened to my mom, kind of, not really, kind of, sorta, but not really. But like basically, it was just really, really bad managerial work, which again is a total criticism of something, but not of the doctors themselves. Um, the ER 5 times before someone believed I wasn't lying and hospitalized me for 3 days. It's hard. True. Dang that. Yeah, that sucks. I think that does sound like a failure though, if they're not trusting you. Um, and I think that's one of those things where, the system isn't perfect, and there are sometimes there's cases where the humans have an error. Like if they like I mean, this is something that like I can relate to. I'm gonna take it out of the medical field here for a second because I don't have that much experience even going to the doctors, let alone having stuff go wrong. But in grocery store working, right? When I was a cashier, I no longer do that. But when I was, whenever a customer would come up with a complaint, like 95% of the time, I'm making that number up, but 95% of the time, I have heard their complaint before and they're in the wrong, right? Occasionally a customer actually, like, something was mislabeled, and that happens actually more often than not. That stuff is mislabeled all the time. But, oftentimes when a customer insists that something is one price and it's ringing up a different, more often than not, it's, they probably looked at the wrong price tag, right? Typically the error will be on the customer side. And after you have hundreds of customers, all different problems, mind you, but more, say, especially when it's like consistent ones, right, over the course of years, right? Not like all, obviously, if you have 100 problems in one day, that's a real problem. But I'm just saying, like, most complaints, the customer is wrong. So at some point, you start to notice trends, right? Me as a human, I'm going to notice trends, and I'm going to be like, sometimes I don't give them the credit they deserve because occasionally they'll be right. And it's very easy for me to say, 95% of the time the customer's in the wrong. And then I try to tell them like I'm certain or something, even though they could be right. Right. Like sometimes it's easy to notice that trend and to act on it without actually doing the process to go investigate. And you should be trusting of them at the start, right? Like you should treat everybody like they're not total idiots because sometimes they're not, right? And you don't know that at the start, right? It could be that they are, but you shouldn't treat them as that way. And it's easy to sometimes slip into the, I've had 10 bad customers before you and now you show up and now I'm rude to you kind of thing. Or whatever, translate that to the medical where it could just be, they don't believe a bunch of people because there's a bunch of liars and or people making up stuff to try and get medication, and then one person who actually has that issue comes in and they're like, I don't believe you, and they have this mistrust. Like it totally could happen, right? I can completely see it. um but yeah, it sucks, and I don't know how to combat that, and not that it's really my place to, but still. It is unfortunate, and I feel like that shouldn't happen to anyone. So I'm trying to add some lighting back here just to separate the sky from the background. But yeah, it is. Yeah, I think when your lived experience contradicts sort of the, I don't know, statistical trend, right? Like it's this, you might have a system that works. At least it's the, we try to make it work well. And your lived experience contradicts that, saying like my experiences have not been good, and to not have mistrust of the system as a whole, even though it seems to be, I don't know. I think it's really hard. And obviously we can always do better, right? I don't think we should ever be like, well, it's the best we can do. We can't do any better. No, that's not true. Like, we can obviously always try to do better. And I think it's fine to be critical of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a tough topic. Anyway, let's see. So I'm pretty happy with this little thumbnail, I think. Also, I'm going very slowly on my thumbnails today. Let's do another painting. Let's do some more blue sky. But this time, we're going to do a really tall horizon line. Zoom in here. All right, we're going to zoom in. We're up high. Maybe we're even looking downward a bit. So I'm drawing a square. Oftentimes when I'm sketching, I think sometimes what people see isn't exactly what I'm doing. So like, for example, I just drew a square looking downward, the top of a square, right, in perspective. This is like the square, right? Because I'm drawing, but I didn't actually draw the full square. I only drew the top of it. And then I'm just going to color it in as a single block. So to you guys, it may look like I'm just drawing these lines back and forth. But what I'm actually doing is planning out forms. And then maybe I put that in the foreground. Right? Just to help inform myself of the shapes, right? So maybe this is on the inside or something. Maybe there's something here. So yeah, I think that happens a lot when I'm painting, where it's not always clear what I'm doing. So what, the actual lines that I'm drawing might look like right here. I'm trying to draw some 3-point perspective lines, sort of. Let's go like that. Pretty happy with this, I think. Kinda. I'm trying to be happy with it. Actually, let's do another break here. So we'll do foreground, midground, whatever this is going to be like background, kind of. And then this is going to be in the foreground, or more foreground. I've not been in a while. Is the Mage Wizard project still going? Not really. I mean, it sort of is still in existence. But no, I haven't worked on it in a long time. If anyone wants to work on it, you can. So for what Captain Megabean's talking about is Wild West Witches. It's still a thing. does that link still work? Yeah. So this link still works. Here, I can show it real quick. This is a world building project that we worked on a while. Oh, what happened here? Buckles is gone. All the images are gone. Huh. Anyway, we still have the other things. Something happened to all the buckles. Rest in peace. Anyway, but yeah, we had like different tribes, and we had images based on each of them. So we had like these were things that I had drawn for them. You know, that there's like the hats, and then we described what they're all about, and then I drew some images based on the themes of these particular tribes, and each tribe had their kind of their own culture and their traits, almost like Harry Potter houses. So yeah, this was a fun little project we worked on, and we all contributed, and we added them to this thing. Yeah, it's basically cowboy witches. Yeah, I don't know why this is. Yeah, something happened. This is like an old version of this site. I don't know what happened. Anyway, if the picture files have been moved, yeah, well, I thought it uploaded them to that platform. I don't know how that works. I don't know why it would just be one entire category though. I think it has to do with the site itself and not the images, because that entire category is wiped out. So it wasn't like sporadic images. Also, I think the text was changed. So yeah, the whole Notion page, something happened. But anyway, that's fine. Well, I'll have to look into it some other time. But yeah, so it's still around, and yeah, I'd be up for making another image of it based on it again. Trying to bring this down a bit, make everything go. I guess this is still kind of low. Let's see. Let's put the horizon line here. This will go there. These can go there. This stuff can go upward. I've been looking at Spyro Reignited and been feeling extra inspired. Nice. I think I'm weird in that I don't think I get inspired by stuff the same way other people get inspired by stuff. I feel like when people talk about inspiration, I mean, I know it's a common saying, right? People get inspiration from all sorts of places, and obviously not everybody's inspired by the same stuff. But I feel like I'm more inspired by exploration, and others sometimes are inspired by things itself, right? Like emotions or an experience. And I kind of mentioned this a few streams ago, but there was a Reddit post about sort of different types of inspiration, or sort of like the question was thrown out, what inspires you to make art, right? And it's funny because I feel like my answer was just different than everyone else's. Everybody else is like, oh, well, I might go somewhere or experience something and am super inspired to sort of record it or express myself or express this emotion or this feeling, right? Or this thing that I experienced, or I need to tell a story of my, that relates back to my life. Like those kinds of topics seem to sort of be the norm. Like, if you grew up with this experience that was different than other people, then you would express it in your art, and you would use that as like a method of communication. I feel like I use art not so much as a method of communication, but more as a method of well, more like a dialogue. So it still is communication, but it's more of exploring an idea. It's like a debate, kind of. And I think other people are like, I'm telling a story, right? Mine's like, I like the exploration side of it. I like to figure things out and be like, so when I see something that inspires me, it's typically something like not even a real concrete topic, like lighting, or it could just be design or a shape or maybe you had a cool, somebody was wearing something that looked kind of interesting, but I'm never inspired to paint that, right? I'm inspired to like take that thing and turn it into something else, be like, that's cool. What would that look like if I, you know, did this costume design for somebody else or for an animal instead of on this person. Like, to me, it's an exploration. It's like, what if I have this tool, right, this art tool this skill that I have, that I can draw stuff, mostly what I want, right, and I can now say what if, and I can answer that by drawing, right? So it's more of an exploration. But I didn't get the sense that that's what everybody else was, how they were inspired. So yeah, I don't know. Or maybe that subreddit is extremely biased and they just like to focus on trauma, and that seems to be the only topic that ever pops up. So whenever it's always like, oh, I just, have to like use my art or use my trauma as a catalyst for my art, which whatever. I'm not really one to speak on that, but it just I don't like, that's not me. Or even my life experiences. So it's not like I travel everywhere. I've traveled like twice in my entire life. But I like environments, and it's sort of an exploration. Like, this is my traveling. Anyway, Dyson fans inspire me to draw robots. Yeah, so I think I'm a bit like that, right? I guess, and it's funny because I don't like. I think the common advice, maybe it's more for writing because it makes sense to write what you know. But even then, I don't really agree with that, because I think you can write still. And again, maybe I'm wrong, but even if you're a writer, you could write things that you would like, fantasies, right? Things that don't exist. You haven't experienced a post-apocalyptic scenario, but you can still write about it, right? You haven't experienced a perfect utopia, but you could still write one, right? Like, you can say what if, and then you can answer those questions in your art. And I think oftentimes the advice is to just write what you know, but I say just write what you want and be inspired by it to go and learn more, right? If you want to write about a utopian society, go, maybe there's research and maybe people have written other things on this, and there's you can explore this idea, right? Maybe by learning what other people have done in the space or whatever. But I feel like there's an element of exploration and learning. Like, I don't know a lot about, say, rovers on different planets, and maybe I want to, design one. Let me go look into it, right? Let me go research it, figure out what different rovers, how they were built for different, environments and why, and then I could speculate what would need to be happen on a new environment, you know. Um, I just feel like there's a lot of, yeah, I don't know. I guess exploration is just my thing. I like it. It's what fuels me. I like coming up with stuff. I guess I think of art more as I guess it's more in the concept art space, I guess. That's, I guess that's what I'm saying. I think the idea behind that advice to make connections with things you understand and things you don't. Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, I think any good art, right, whether it's any good design or story or whatever, is going to be accurate and well researched. But see, I take the, instead of saying I've done my research by just living my life and let me just write what I know, it's more like I can use my art as a catalyst to go out and do more research, right? I can say, I don't know a lot about jungles, but I think they look cool. Let me go learn a bit more about jungles so that I can paint accurate jungles, right? Like, jungles are cool because there is an unknown and there is room for exploration. I think if I just write only what I know, it's boring. Now, obviously, if someone says I need to put a character, and I think with people that it does change, right? I think it's hard to imagine different, at least for me, it's very hard to imagine different types of people. So like I would write people similar to what I already know. Like the personality of a character who might be similar to like I don't know, somebody I've seen on TV, or maybe it's my mom or something, right? Or a friend, right? And I could write characters who have personalities that are similar. That way I could just ask myself, what would this person do? Right? And I would kind of, they would be more believable, right? Because they would be based on things I know, even though it's fused with a new situation. And I do think that's good, right? It makes sense that if you're, you have a little bit of reality in your fantasy world, right? You want physics to exist, right? If somebody throws a ball, you want it to, look like what would happen probably if they were in your planet, unless they're not on your planet. Like some things are just gonna stay the same, right? There can be assumptions that, the physical laws of the universe aren't changed unless you explicitly state otherwise. And I think that's okay. Um, but that is a reason to go out and do more research and figure more things out. Like to me, it feels like it's yeah, I don't know. A few YouTubers I like to look at the principles of design and random stuff to make new things completely unrelated to what they look like at first place. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I guess I approach it more from a design and fantasy standpoint rather than telling a meaningful story. Like the story can still be meaningful, but it doesn't have to be. I think it's more just exploration is fun in its own sake. It's like a child, like a child's play doesn't have to be intrinsically meaningful, right? Like I don't know. I guess that's how I see it. I'm curious what other people think. It reminds me of that Neil Gaiman response to. Did you guys ever see that? He was doing an interview. Let's see. Let me Google it. Neil Gaiman response to uh let's see. What was it? What was it? What was it? So basically somebody asked Neil Gaiman, like, why do you write fantasy of all things? Like, you could write anything you want. You're clearly a good writer. Why fantasy? And he's like, well, what do you mean, why fantasy? And they're like, well, it's kind of like lowbrow garbage, right? Like it doesn't have a history of like not being serious. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? And his response was basically just super. He basically destroyed them with his response. And it was like every good like. Anyway, let me see. What was it? Um. Let's talk about genre. No, no. What is it? No, it's not this. Is it? Gosh, I don't know where it is. I'm kind of annoyed that I can't find it. Anyway, but yeah, he basically just started by listing like all mythology, right? This is like people looking up at the stars and wondering what if, and then writing up their fantastical myths to sort of justify, explain things around them, right? He's like, that's fantasy. He's like, Moby Dick, that's fantasy, and he goes into this sort of like this sort of tirade about how all like only fantasy is only lowbrow until it becomes well known and accepted. Then it becomes like these are some of the stories we hold most dear is fantasy stories, and he kind of I don't know. It was a really well worded response, but gosh, I can't find it. But anyway, but yeah, so that was I don't know where I was going with this. I just like to draw what looks appealing and fun. Yeah, I have very little story elements in my head. Yeah, I mean, I think the part of it to me is finding the story as you like. I don't think it needs a story at the start. I think you can just figure out the story as you go. Like I feel to me, it almost feels like not realistic to know the exact thing I want to say right from the start. Oftentimes I have a semblance of it, a little tiny bit, but then I kind of figure it out along the way, and that's sort of part of the magic. Um, and it's if I knew exactly what I wanted to draw at the start, I don't think I would do art. I think, I mean, especially now. Speaking of this topic, this reminds me of I literally responded to a question, or not, it wasn't directed at me though, it was just on that one subreddit. But it was a very stupid question, I think. But it's like, is digital art even worth it? Because they were coming at this from like being upset about AI, which is understandable, but they were like, what's the point? I'm like, this is like I think it's good that there's things like that making us question why we do art in the first place. And I feel like if you're not going to do art because something can make really nice images, then you're probably not doing it for the right reason. Like if the only reason was because you want to just make a cool image, like you could have just hired someone who was better than you in the first place. Like my kind of take was, yeah, that it doesn't change anything to me because that's not why I do art in the first place. And I agree, if all you wanted was to make an image, and this kind of gets back to what we were just talking about, is that you don't have to know what you want to paint at the start. And part of the exploration of it and the fun of it is to figure it out along the way and to come up with something that ends up better than you started with. And that decision making process is the art. Like to me, it is the decision making process. And I feel like though you could just hire somebody to do the art for you, and somebody better than you, because there's always people better, you still wouldn't, because even then it's their decisions that end up coming through. Like, yeah, you can inform it, you can coach it, but I feel like AI is no different than just like hiring other people. And like if you actually are the one who wants to do art, of course you're still going to do art, right? Because it's not about, you don't want someone else's idea of your little starting vision. Like you want to do your own thing, right? It's it's not yours. If I hire someone to make me a painting, right? And I describe, and maybe I'm gonna coach them along the way because they're gonna be like, do you like number one or number two? Right? I'm like, oh, I like number two better. I'm like, okay, do you like number two or number three? Right? And I'm like, oh, okay, I actually like number three better. Right? And they could go through this whole process like an eye exam, but ultimately they're the ones who put the paint on the canvas, right? They're still the ones who made those decisions. They're the ones who understood the subject matter well enough to paint it, right? That wasn't me. It wasn't my stuff. If they added to my idea to make it better, that was their doing, right? I I don't really care about that first idea. I think it's those decisions along the way that make it exciting. Um, and those decisions are mine when I'm doing it, right? It's not the artist that I'm hiring, right? It's not the AI who is just I'm typing in that first prompt and it's deciding on its own all the other stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I love that exploration is the thing, and I feel like that to me is what I like about it, and I don't get that just from that's the reason I wouldn't just say screw art, I'm gonna do a different thing and pay someone to make my ideas, because it's not just me having an idea, I guess is the point. Like if all I had was an idea, I could just hire someone, but no, my ideas suck. It's the exploring the ideas is that's the thing that I like. That's the part that I feel like I'm good at. It's not the ideas themselves. Anyway, I am drawing something here. Some sort of buildings. Also, Miss Candy Art, thanks for the follow. Also, I realize this is very not exciting colors. Let's add some excitement. Also known as color dodge. Hold on, actually not. Let's do overlay. That's not overlay. What happened there? There we go. That's overlay. Ooh, that's kind of something. But yeah, I guess the whole reason I went on that little rant though was because I do think if the only reason people make art is because they have kind of an idea and they just want to make it look cool, I do wonder if something like, is it then, I don't know. I wouldn't want to question someone's reason for doing art, right? I think you should do, if you like it, you like it. I don't think you need to know why, but it does strike me as a little weird that there's this sense that whatever it is, right, the robots are going to make us no longer be as fulfilled by doing the thing that we choose to do. Like, we're already doing it the least efficient way. Like, if you wanted to if you just wanted a nice picture, you could pay someone to do it. Yeah, it is. I mean, and I think when people say that, right, the process is important, or trust the process, or anything involving the word process, I think there's this thought that it's like the process of cooking, right? And maybe that's why I always hated the cooking analogy to art, because the process of cooking is literally following the recipe in some cases, or you add the things. Well, maybe not. Maybe some people, the process of cooking is very different. It is more like art where you are trying things and taking things out or adding things in. Um, but to me, the process is so much more than just the step by step process. It's the mental process, right? It's the the evolving my ideas. I say this, what if this, what if that? Nope, scratch that, do this, change that, right? All the while I might be going through the more physical process of, adding in my values, then my colors, then my lighting, then my bounce light, then editing some shapes and changing the composition. But like, it's the decisions that are guiding those things that's the, to me, that is the real process, right? It's the it's not the technical thing. The technical process is fine. And I think that's what people say when they say trust the process, is the technical process. Like, here's my ugly stage, and then I'm gonna make it nicer. Like, technically, I know that that's happening, but it's not even that. To me, it's the mental process. Anyway, I don't know if I'm making sense. Can we get 8 from April 6th, please? Yeah, absolutely. April 6th. File open. What's today? Today's the 10th. That must have been. Yeah, the process for me is working and compromising with my materials to make something. All right, here's that. Copy, paste, put it up here. Yeah, this kind of does look like a western abandoned railroad canyon thing. Kind of, yeah. Was that the one that you wanted? Um, also, say you, how are you doing? But yeah, I guess to me, I think of the art process as a couple different steps, and I think even when other people say things like trust the process, I actually don't always know what they're talking about. I sometimes get the feeling that if you don't do art, you're gonna have no idea what they're talking about. Like, those are just words that don't really have any real meaning. And I think there is a sense that like when I say the process is super important, I don't think that has the weight that I'm trying to express. Like I just part of me feels like there's a communication that's lost. Um, that somebody who maybe doesn't do art or doesn't have a good analogy for would understand. And that would lead them to make a comment like, I think, AI art is gonna make people not do art anymore. Like, if that's your belief, I think there's a misunderstanding um, about what sort of, why people talk about the process of being important. Ooh, 5-minute thumbnail. All right. 5-minute thumbnail I can do. Also, is my music a little loud? I think it might be. Okay. 5-minute thumbnail. Let's go. Let's go. All right, let me just flip my canvas a bunch and make people dizzy here. Do a sketch of a. I am not okay. Let's see. I have a underworld, not hell and demons, but beautiful spirits. Okay. Normally I don't take direct requests entirely like that, but I mean, I kind not too specific, but yeah, I can do that. That sounds fun. I'm not gonna do like fiery though, because this was kind of the the sort of, I don't know, molten thingy. But yeah, let's do that. Let me start the timer. Yeah, I don't want to make it get in a habit of have the 5-minute thumbnail requests or the 5-minute thumbnail sketch as like a request specifically, but I can totally do that. No. I just want to clarify for other people because I think there could be we could set a bad precedent here, and I don't want to do that. I think it's important to make it clear what's happening so that when one person does something, this happened a lot with the print redeem options. People would, like, back in the day, people would redeem things that I didn't have, and then other people would see people do that who were maybe more regular viewers of the stream, and then newcomers would come in and they would start redeeming prints that I don't have, and before long it was just a nightmare situation where it's like, I don't what are the expectations of the people who redeem these? Because I'm not gonna finish these, and they're just these, like, what are you redeeming? And it sort of set a bad precedent. So I do want to make it clear that the 5-minute thumbnails are not technically a sketch request. It's always fine for you to throw out ideas, and if I like the idea, I'll go with it. But yeah, for 5 minutes, it's especially for 5-minute sketch requests, or not. It's not a request for 5-minute thumbnail sketch. um, those probably more so, like, typically if I'm okay with taking requests, right, for, like, ideas being thrown out there, but typically that wouldn't happen in the 5 minutes because those ideas take longer. Because when I'm forcing something, it's harder and it takes longer than if I'm just doing whatever pops into my head at the time. Anyway, that's yeah. Just to clear that up. All right, let's do the resume painting. All right, 5 minutes. Let's go. I'm going to take yellow. We don't have any yellow yet. Blobbing in the yellow. And oh wait, what did you say? What was the thing? Underworld, not hell and demons. Not hell and demons, but beautiful and spirits. Okay. I don't know how that would work with an underworld, but let's try something. Let's do nice warm colors. I realize I'm painting with blues and this. Okay. Greens. I don't know if this probably will take longer than 5 minutes, but okay. I don't know what underworld would look like, but maybe it's yeah, I don't know what the underworld would look like if we're doing. Also, let's do this. Well, so I mean, it kind of is redeem. I mean, it's sort of in there in the sense it's just 5-minute thumbnail, and then it says "go quick," right? It's not. it's not like it doesn't say a request or anything. So it's sort of, I guess it's not explicit, but I could change it. Um, yeah, I guess I could change it. This doesn't, I don't know what an underworld would look like though. I guess it would have to be dark. Let's, it doesn't have to be totally dark. Let's add some overlay. But yeah, it would be probably good to make it clear. I've never really had something like Elysium. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know what Elysium is. I only know that maybe media, more like an afterlife than an underworld. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I think of like clouds and billowy clouds and I don't know. This doesn't really give me the vibes of an underworld, but nor does it give me the vibes of fairies or spirits. But I hope that maybe with some blue lighting we will get somewhere. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think I'm missing the mark here, but that's okay. We'll go like you're thinking Greek mythology. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, that's not what I was thinking. Okay, I totally missed the mark. That's fine. That's okay. We can add some rays of light. Uh, God rays, clouds, sort of heavenly. We can make it Greek. We can Greek inspired maybe some. This is just. What if I do color dodge? That's not color dodge. What happens? Ooh, that's bright. Um, I'm trying to do little spirits or something. Maybe we'll do like wooded trees and stuff. Maybe we get some bright yellows. I don't know. Yeah, this is definitely is not a thing, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with it. Also, I'm gonna end up going a little over 5 minutes here. Maybe this little puddle of water is not yellow, blue. I feel like we need something though. Hold on. This is not quite work. I feel like with the right amount of color dodge and glow dodge and stuff and the right colors, I can totally turn this into a thing. Some pink. Sort of sunny. It's cool. I thought they were requests I'd never redeemed. Yeah, yeah. Okay. I should make it more clear then, I guess. So yeah, here's something. It's supposed to be a little sunnier, I guess. I don't know about quite what you redeemed, but it's something. I do so I don't mind a starting off point, but yeah, I like to just be able to free flow paint whatever the heck I want because it goes a little quicker when I do that. Although in this case, it turned into something unrecognizable. Here, we're going to make it very airy and fluffy in the background. Almost dreamlike, I guess. And maybe there's some these little blobs of bright white and blue. Something like that. I think it's neat. Yeah, it's kind of neat. Again, don't really know what it is, but not bad. It's like a little riverbed. There's some fluffy white clouds up here. Maybe we'll put some of those little Greek pillars or something. Something like that. Since he had mentioned some pillars, I guess they're not really Greek. I'm just drawing columns. I guess I could put some little things like this. Now that's looking more like those, what do you call them? Those Japanese things? You know what I'm talking about. I don't know what they're called, though. Anyway. Torii gates, that's the word. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, that's something. Again, kind of weird. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but it's something. How are you doing, Scald in Alaska? You're doing well. Also, Siren Knight, thank you. Okay, let's do another one. Well, that one definitely has a lot of color dodge in it. Okay, I'm gonna go add more color dodge, but in a different, in this painting. I'm gonna bring out some of these bright. Also some glowy stuff down here. Okay. I do like this, though. This one is nice. We can add a little bit more vibrant to it. Maybe. There, just a little bit more. Okay. Let's see. What about this one? Can we do something here? Maybe some green color dodge. I haven't used any green color dodge in a long time. If I go like, let's see. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. There we go. I just wanted some bright whites in here. Okay. Next painting. The color is actually really different from all the other ones, at least. Yeah, on this one, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's almost a high-key painting, right? We have very little dark colors. It's very dreamlike, right? And if we had like flower fields or something in here, right, it's very dreamlike. which I like. I think it's nice. Sort of these little rolling hills of green and yeah, there's definitely something to it that's nice. Yeah, I like it. It's very Wonderlandy kind of. But yeah, I think experimenting like that is a good thing to do, just in general. Is you could even say, what if it was something similar but blue? You're right, you have like a magical place, or like it's deep underwater, but somehow there's so much light that it's gosh, I don't know why it reminds me of that movie, the Black Panther. Maybe the newest Black. I don't know what it's called. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I saw it in the plane on my way to Austria when I was taking my vacation. But I really liked its design. I felt like that whole theme was really well done, and I don't know, for people who haven't seen it, basically there was a like South American, what do you call it, Mesoamerican tribe. I don't know what you want to call it, but like Incan, Aztec, that kind of thing. Maybe it was Mayan. I don't remember. I think it was Aztec. But basically, the idea was that like there was these uh, guy or group of people who sort of stumbled across the thing that gave them powers, essentially some sort of magic, and they took to the ocean. So it was like deep down under the water, they had their own civilization. They could breathe underwater. They could do all the stuff. It was an underwater civilization. So sort of the cultures of this group of people sort of evolved over time, and it became underwater themed. So it was sort of meshing these things, right? This idea of living under the water, almost like a mermaid type stuff with sort of Mesoamerican civilization, and it was a really cool mashup, and I thought they did a really good job on it. Um, yeah, I thought it was neat. I mean, this is from somebody who has no idea anything about any of that, but it seemed cool, and it was definitely an inspiring thing to see sort of this mashup. Where do you usually get visual art feed? Um, just everywhere. I mean, so it depends on what I'm doing or like why I'm looking. So sometimes it's very intentional, right? Like if I'm gonna do if I'm painting like right now, and I decide that I'm gonna paint this, right? Oh, it's saving. If I decide that I'm gonna paint this top one, let me remove the timer thingy. If I decide I'm going to paint the top thumbnail, right? Maybe I'll go and find references specifically for that theme, right? So that would just be doing a Google search, whatever. If it's a stylistic thing, maybe maybe I just want to paint some fantasy architecture or something. So sometimes I'll go browse ArtStation or whatever specifically just to see, I like to stay up to date with sort of new things that are trending or whatever. I just like to see good art. So I kind of make it a habit of trying to go to ArtStation a couple times a week and just seeing what's there, just to consume art. Not for any real reason though, just to see cool stuff and maybe look at it and then kind of keep my, what do you call it, um uh just stay a little current with what people are able to do and what people are doing in the arts. So I like to do that. As far as like actually being inspired though to make art or like having visual art, I mean most of it I just see just by pure dumb chance, when watching movies or on Twitter or on ArtStation or not really ArtStation or on Reddit maybe things that'll maybe I subscribe to certain subreddits or follow certain people on Twitter. So I will see stuff like that, but I do make time to specifically go and consume art occasionally. But I mean, there's art, there's stuff that's non-art that I'm inspired by, right? So, and I say inspired in the loosest of senses, but just enjoy looking at, right? It might just be walking down the street, is my go-to example. Maybe it's raining out and the lighting and the everything's all shiny and reflective from the water. Maybe it's in the day or maybe it's at night. Like that kind of thing is, I don't know. I think I'm at the point where, and I'm sure my art tastes and knowledge is obviously going to continue to advance, but I feel like I'm at the point visually where I don't really need to see other artists doing stuff to know it's possible. Like I kind of feel like there's a like I'm not really ever caught off guard. I mean, sometimes I am, and this is kind of why I still try to stay up to date with like art, looking at ArtStation in various places. But I don't really ever feel like I'm caught off guard. Like, wow, this is possible. I had no idea. Like, I kind of feel like I know what people are capable of doing with digital painting, and so when I feel like a lot of my no, not a pro. I feel like I just consume a lot of art and not even talking about creating it. I'm just talking about consuming it here for a second, right? Almost like an art critic, right? Or a movie critic has seen a lot of movies. I've seen a lot of art. And so in some ways, I feel like I can get a lot of that from real life or from actual photos. And it doesn't have to be art, like specifically art, right? Created by humans. It could just be, some silly image on, I don't know, I don't use Facebook, but if I did use Facebook, right, it could be like some, my sister or a friend sharing a birthday photo. It's like it could just be the idea, right? It could just be talking to a friend. That could be inspiring. And I don't really feel like I need the visuals to always go along with it. I realize I'm not painting right now. I should probably do that. Have you seen the movie Strange World? I love the environments. I don't think I have. I will say though, I am very much influenced by the things that I see, even without paying attention to it. No, I haven't seen this. I remember I was watching uh, somebody play Final Fantasy, and the very next day on stream, I started painting environments without even really thinking about it. That just kind of resembled sort of some of the environments in that game. And that's happened a lot where I'll watch a movie and like recently we watched Road to El Dorado, and the very next stream I'm like I want to paint these like ancient temples and like very colorful places, and it's like that was literally the visual style of the movie. It was these very colorful temple civilization, these stone built temples and civilizations, not just temples, but just this stonework, right? You might see like again in like a Mesoamerican civilization. Um except it was very vibrant and colorful, and like I was like, "Hey, let's paint something like that. This seems cool." Right? And it's not that I was specifically thinking of that, but oftentimes when I'm watching those movies, because I'm in a headspace of thinking about art, it does make its way into it. I mean, it's kind of like if you just watched a video about, edge control, right, on your brushes. I don't think you have to see art with lots of different edges that just because you were thinking about it recently, that's one of the things that's on your mind. And I think that happens a lot too, where it's not even about what I'm seeing, it's more just about what I'm thinking about. Obviously, I think about what I'm seeing quite often. But yeah, so it's everything influences what I paint. But yeah, as far as the visual diet, if you will, consuming art, um, yeah, most of that's just done by pure dumb luck, me stumbling across it. But I do try to make some time to intentionally. And actually, I do this. I don't know why I didn't bring this up. I every Sunday in Discord, I watch like an hour of random art tutorials and videos from various YouTubers or whatever people recommend. I try to save some throughout the week. So I did this yesterday. So every Sunday I try to watch, yeah, essentially an hour of tutorials just to stay up to date on what content YouTubers are making and various things. Maybe it could even just be like a, 3 steps to, for beginner artists to avoid or something, right? It could just be a video like that even. I just like hearing what people say and how people explain things because as somebody who is talking about art to an audience of some size, I don't know, I like to stay varied and have different perspectives and have heard of lots of different people explain the topics that I talk about. So, it's just my way of staying up to date on it a little bit. So yeah, I big fan of that. So I guess it's another thing that in my art diet. That song reminds me of an anime called Nodame Cantabile. Cantabile? I don't know what that is. Hey everyone, how is life? Hey LA friend, life is good. Got it, thank you, and sorry. No, I'm just it wasn't a long question, it was a long answer. Um yeah, I'm just a very ranty. I answer questions in a very long-winded way. But yeah, no, it's a good question though, because I think questions like that could make people realize that, wow, I don't really consume art. Or, oh, all the art I do consume is the stuff that's put in front of me by an algorithm. Or, um, I mean, I think nowadays that's especially true, and it's even true for me. Most of the art that I see is put in front of me by an algorithm. So it's extremely current stuff, right? It's the most current of the current, right? The algorithm's not feeding me art from, 200 years ago. AI's got us by a chokehold. Hey, Steph. Yeah, I mean, isn't that pretty much the job of a streamer to talk? Yeah, no, it is. I mean, yeah, I've always said this that if you like repeating yourself, or if you have a habit of repeating yourself, streaming is for you because there's going to be somebody new who hasn't heard me say a thing. And yeah, streamers repeat themselves a lot. And yeah, I mean, I think saying has us by a chokehold makes it sound super terrible. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely times where I probably will go weeks without really, the stuff that I see is pretty much force fed to me, right? I'm not actively seeking out a new thing, and even if I do, I'm probably searching for it via Google, which again, the results are not perfectly, there is a like there's yeah, there's some issues. I'm good waiting on my kettle to boil. Nice. Yeah, but I mean, there are times where I specifically go out and find things that I haven't seen. So this is something that I do. I don't just wait for them to. So I watch a lot of random content on YouTube. So if I only watch what's recommended to me, I typically won't be recommended art videos. Like I might by the people who I've seen everything by, like Marco Bucci. If he, once a month when he makes a video, it will probably recommend me the latest Marco Bucci video. But like all the other stuff, I probably won't recommend it to me. So this is why on Sundays I make sure I make it a point to, I don't do this on Sunday, but I'll do this on like Saturday. I make it a point to go and search for new videos. Like I might literally just type in composition in painting and see what pops up. Maybe it's a YouTuber I've never heard of. Maybe it's a video that isn't relevant to what I want to watch. And so yeah, no, it is. No, this isn't an AI rant. This is more of an art diet rant of intentionally finding stuff that is different than. I mean, it's not even AI. This doesn't have anything to do with AI art. This is more just algorithms and stuff. I do think it's good to get out of our comfort zone, out of the grasp of the algorithms, and just search for things in a different way. Um, maybe it's like, taking the time of the day to go on ArtStation, right? Seeing what that has to offer up to you. Again, still driven by some sort of algorithm, but at least it's not the same ones that you're always watching, right? Maybe it's instead of just Twitter and YouTube, right? You actually search. Like, when was the last time? And I mean this genuinely because I'm kind of asking myself as well. When was the last time you went to YouTube and typed in a video, but not to find an old video, but you typed in something, right? Like, I want to watch, I don't know, penguins dancing. Like, like, not that, but anything. Like, when was the last time you used the search bar on YouTube to find something new? Like, to actually find something new, not to find something old, but like, when was the last time you searched for something new? If you're like me, very rarely. I literally just use the algorithm feature, right? It's what it's force fed to me. I feel like that's a problem, right? There's no work on my part being done. And I feel like I want to introduce some of that. You do all the time, but YouTube is like my Google sometimes fast. Okay, see, I very rarely do that. And it's not good. I've fallen into uh a bad way. It makes it sound like this is some serious heavy topic. But no, it's kind of weird. Yeah. Yeah, I mean Google is all yeah, YouTube is in some ways my Google as well. I'm also trying to make it a point though, whenever I do Google stuff, I'll use Google what's it called? I don't even know what it's called. This is how bad I am. Google Journal, Google Google something. It's basically the academic journals and papers in Google form. So like if you have a question, it'll only show you like studies and actual science that has been done on the topic, as opposed to like here's a blog post by some dude eating Doritos in his chair. Like, this is one's done by actual academics and people who study the thing, and the others just the opinions of some nobody. So I'm a TikTok zombie though. I search for nothing. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I have been with YouTube, except with the exception to art videos for Sundays. I do search every week for some stuff. And that's kind of one of the reasons, going back to the whole Sunday art thing, that's one of the reasons why I do it, is because I want to force myself to I want to force myself to actually have to, find new stuff, get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And even if it's just doing a Google search, like, I fear there will be people who will have, who will be watching. And again, this is gonna sound like the old boomer me, being all like stressing out about social media, which I hope it doesn't come off that way. But I imagine there will be people, and probably are people, who will have gone, who spend most of their days watching videos, but will have never actually thought about what they want to watch and found it, right? It will just be people who are being force fed. So like, you know, TikTok zombie style, where you're just watching thing after thing that what you thumbs up or thumbs down, maybe the algorithm tries to figure out what you want and it feeds it to you that way, right? But never having said, what do I want to watch, and going out and trying to find it, right? I bet there will be people who will spend years worth of time and never once having actually had any sort of willpower. Like, because I feel like I, in some level, am close to that, right? It's like, and I know I'm not that bad, but like, there's always somebody better than you or worse than you at something, right? Like, there's gonna be people. If I'm even anywhere near that, there's gonna be people who are so far down that rabbit hole that yeah, that's just my hunch, and it's kind of a scary thought. Or maybe it's not scary. I don't know. What do I know? It seems scary. I mean, you know, as long as it doesn't happen to me. Hey, Kath, how are you? And it's funny, I think this is one of those topics where I don't actually know if I have an argument for why it's bad. It's more of just like it doesn't feel right. And so I feel like I owe it to myself to go out and make it, type in the search bar myself. Even though I don't feel like, the algorithms might be really good, right? And it might be there might be an argument for like, well, they're going to show you more of what you want to watch than what you want to watch, right? So why do the work yourself when it does a better job? And that might be even true, but I still feel like there's sort of a, just out of principle, like I feel like I owe it to myself to make decisions, you know? Gotta use my brain. It looks like an underwater sandfall. Underwater sandfall. What is a sandfall? Is that like where do you have a specific level of art you want to reach in the future? Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. There's art that I look at and I mean, well, what I guess it depends on what you mean. I mean, there's definitely like a technical skill level of art that I look at, and I think I'm definitely design oriented. So, yeah, learning more about stuff. I mean, I don't know if there's like I can pinpoint it and say this is the level. But yeah, being very knowledgeable on the stuff that I'm designing and okay, like a waterfall with sand. Oh, gotcha. I like that idea. That's fun. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely art that I look at and like this is stuff that I'd like to be doing. But I think in general, broad terms, it's I'd like to know a lot about the topics that I'm painting. I would like to design stuff and explore ideas. And as long as I'm always learning and improving, I think at some point, like, old, you're looking for artist level. Like, old looking for artist level, or. I mean, so when you say a specific level, yeah, I don't think I can really pinpoint specific artists, but it's more of a way of working and thinking about it. Um, and yeah, a lot of that just comes with sort of a deep understanding of obviously the fundamentals, right? And image making in general, but then also being able to explore ideas well and ask the right questions and present them in a way that is looks professional. But again, that changes, right? Um, yeah, but then there's also skills that I don't think I'm very good at. OMG, like old artist level you're looking for. I mean, I'm still not quite sure what you're saying. I mean, I kind of are you talking about like old time artists like that level? I mean, yeah, I obviously want to get very proficient in art, right? Skill level, but I don't think that's really the skill that I'm most worried about is the technical level. Um, I'm far more concerned with the thinking process of art, right? The designing, the coming up with ideas. It's one thing to just be able to make a pretty picture, but if you don't know why or how the picture was made, it's kind of irrelevant, right? I mean, this is a go. Steph called it to go to the AI argument, right? This is like the AI. If you just want to make nice art, use an AI. Now, obviously not right now because it's totally unethical and it's only just sourced from unethical reasons. But to use a chess analogy, right? If you want to play a good game of chess, just cheat, right? You'll make all the best moves. The computer's better than any human. I don't value that, right? That's not that important to me. I obviously want to be able to make nice art, but that's not the juicy part, right? That's not the reason I'm making art. I don't. It's not about just playing the best game of chess. It's not about just hitting the button and making the most beautiful art. It's about why and how you're doing that. See, I like the idea of starting with something simple, say, and we're moving away from the chess analogy here, but in art terms, maybe you paint an elf character, right? You say, I want to paint an elf character. Well, that's fine. If you just type an elf character into the AI, you're gonna get a generic elf character. And maybe you want to paint a generic elf. That's fine too. But maybe you don't. So maybe you start to explore it, right? You start to explore shapes. You make, oh, this is an interesting, maybe you I don't know why I'm talking about characters here because I typically paint paint environments, but maybe you paint your elf character, there's their head, you paint their ears, right? And their ears look like this, and you're like, oh, these kind of look like leaves. Oh, well, what if their ears are leaves? And you're like, I don't really want to do a leafy elf. What if I make their ears instead of pointy, they look like this? They're little boxes or something. Like that would be a weird looking elf character who has these square ears. But maybe there's something I could do with that, right? Maybe these are, I don't know, like anyway, my point is that maybe by exploring shapes you come up with a new idea, right? Maybe it's not an elf, or maybe it looks like an elf, but it's actually made out of stones, right? So maybe it's a statue, but maybe it's not really a statue. It can move. So you have like an elf, like a stone elves, or is that a thing? I don't know. They could be now. Right now, you could design a stone elf, whatever that is. Um, and they instead of like being imbued with like forest magic, right? These are like stones, like rocks, and they live in different environments. And so now you start exploring that. Like that to me is the far more exciting part. I don't think an AI is going to do that for you, right? They're never going to move from here's a basic elf to here is a stone elf, right? I don't think like that to me is the part that I like. It's the moving from one area to the next. Where my German squad at? I'm not gonna even try to read that. Uh, high five. Uh, but yeah. So anyway, but yeah. Also, Kath, I agree with the like a sand fall, like in PM Explorers of Time, Darkness, Sky. I don't know what that is, but yeah. Hello, guten Tag, Freundens. But anyway, I do like the idea of a sand waterfall though. That's kind of fun. Guten Abend. That. Hey, Vana. Hello. Yeah, what if this was sand? Sandy. It's like a cave, except there's sand up top. Also, we should be voting. What the heck? I apologize to anyone who's here and wanted to vote. We should have been voting a long time ago. I should vote. Okay, whatever. We're just gonna skip number 9. I'm gonna merge all my layers. I need a straw poll for 8. Do that. Arrived in time for voting? Yeah, I was slow. Oh. Let's change this. There we go. All right. Let me grab that and make a straw poll with 8 options. The title is going to be vote, and then you can vote for multiple options. Whoops, 2, 3. 7, 8. Allow selection of multiple options. Yes. Create poll. Yes. There we go. All right, I think this works. I might have misclicked a button. But there is the straw poll. Can somebody pin it to the top for like 7 minutes? I have a hard time pinning it from the screen that I'm on because I'm in Streamlabs. Or I'm in the Streamlabs desktop version. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, 10 minutes works. I'm on mobile, sorry. No, that's fine. I appreciate it. Steph got it. I choose 4. All right, well, you can click the link and you can vote. And I should probably make sure that this works. Number 3 and 4. 4 is interesting. All right. Let's see. Show result. Ooh, number 3 is in the lead. Number 3 and 5 and 7 are tied. 3, 5, and 7. In a diagonal. Tic-tac-toe. 3, 5, 7. Okay, it's all the color dodge ones. I'm sorry I could not choose only one. Yeah, no, you can choose multiples. I mean, that's by design. Conqueror says feeling 4, 5, and 7. Nice. All right, so while this is happening, I'm going to save, and also I'm going to hydrate, and I'm going to copy this and put it into the Discord, into our thumbnail archive channel. Also, I'm going... Ooh, you know what? I don't normally do this. I'm going to try it, though. I'm going to annoy... If you follow me on Twitter, I apologize. Here's today's thumbnails. We're currently voting on which all refine. Come stop by and vote. Twitch.tv/JStiller30. Okay. Just don't mind me just tweeting out the voting. I've never done this before, I don't think, where I make a live tweet saying that we're voting on Twitter to get people to come. I don't know if it's a thing. I don't know if anyone will ever stop by, but hey, who knows? I won't know until I try it. Or maybe people will be like, this is obnoxious, unfollowed. It's also possible. But only one way to find out. Anyway, yeah. Also, should I delete tweets after I do that? Like, after the 10 minutes? Then good riddance? Yeah, seriously. Do you feel like tweets like that should be deleted after they're done so that they're not, like, sending people to a link that is no longer... I mean, I didn't send them to the vote link. I sent them to the stream link. But I don't know how that works. I never delete anything from Twitter. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't advertise yourself on other streams. No, no, no. If there's one way to shun yourself from the... You don't want to ruin your reputation in your own community. You don't want to break your community's rule. That's horrible. Don't do that. Although, there are... So, this is a topic that I feel strongly about because I think if the second you start to give people advice on sort of growing your stream by networking, it suddenly sounds super like sleazy and like you're breaking all the rules. But I will say there is something about going to people's streams, making genuine friends, and eventually it will slip, like it's almost inevitable that you also stream that you do art. And just by you being friendly and kind and being in someone's community, and them finding out that you stream, they will probably want to support you. or if not them, other people in that community, right? Like it's almost inevitable, and just by you being friendly. Now, if you go in with the intent to do that, that gets kind of slimy, right? Like it just shouldn't be some master plan. But there is something to be said about, going into other people's streams and interacting. But there's definitely wrong ways to do it. And yeah, that's so yeah. I do want to throw that out there because that is a real thing, and it's not. But yeah, you don't want to go like I'm streaming. Come follow me. I think yeah. If you do that, I'm not ever gonna go to your stream. Yeah. What are we talking about? I realize we're voting, but master plan. How else would you network? I mean, you could use the. I feel like anytime people use the word networking, the very fact they're using it kind of implies that they probably aren't actual like just using Twitch. If you just use Twitch the way Twitch is supposed to be used by, watching streams, then you're already doing the right thing. Ooh, number 3 is crushing it. Also, there are a lot of people have voted today. Also, here's the straw poll if you're in chat. The power of friendship. Yeah, basically the power of friendship. I mean, you're not wrong. That is the best way, especially if you're a brand new streamer, is to get people to show up in your stream is the power of friendship. Get your friends to show up. Or don't get them to show up. Just they'll show up because they're your friends. People who use networking or mindset. I like mindset. I like talking about mindset, but to me it's a very specific thing. But I agree. I think they are. I don't know. There definitely is a little bit of suspicion. Hi, what's this vote for? Okay, so this vote is for Dragon Gamer. How are you going? How are you doing, by the way? So the vote is for just basically what should I continue on working on in one of these images. I just painted all these little thumbnails. They're just kind of color blobs. Some of them have concrete themes, some of them don't. But if you would like to vote, you can click on the link. There's a straw poll right there, and basically you vote. You can vote for multiples, and then I will work on whichever one wins until the end of stream and hopefully turn it into a painting. So if you're brand new here, and which you seem to be because you just followed, okay, ignore that part. So yeah, basically I come up with a bunch of ideas on stream. I start out, no ideas, blank canvas. I'm a big advocate of anyone can make art. You don't have to have, a good idea. You can take something very stupid or basic, or it could just be I want to paint a desert, right? It doesn't have to be some grand idea. And through a process of working on it and changing things and exploring ideas, you can turn it into something nice. Joe being I'm always super awkward. Are you kidding me? Any non-awkwardness is just a ruse. It's yeah. Anyway, so we have a few more minutes. 2 more minutes until the vote is done. Currently, the number 7 and 3 are in the lead. 7 is winning by 1 vote. Dang, do we really have 30 people who voted? What the heck? I don't know how. I don't typically look at my view count, but I'm tempted because I don't know how the heck we have 30 people who have voted. So yeah, that's a thing. For the 6, I see an old boat wreck where we see through, and at the end of the wreck there is a sandfall. Yeah, that could be a thing. So a lot of these I have no idea what they're gonna be, right? Like number 6, I don't really understand what it is. My community is super engaged. It's because I don't think it's because of the tweet. Is anyone actually here because of the tweet? If you are, I'm curious. I don't think so though. It's possible. It is possible that somebody is here because of the tweet. Anyway. I don't know. This is the first time I've ever tweeted out that we are currently voting. Maybe that's like the secret. The secret to Twitch is just have an interactive thing in the middle of your stream and then tweet about it. The lurkers are active today. Yeah. What tweet? Oh, I just said, hey, we're voting. Come in and vote for the thumbnail that you want me to work on till the end of stream. then I put a link to my stream. It was that simple. Anyway, all right. I'm pretty confident to call it. 30 seconds to go though, but I think number 7 is winning. If this is a tie, I'm gonna lose it. Okay, number 7 has won. Okay. It's final. 7 has won. Alrighty. So, oh, after all this, I didn't even save it properly. What was I thinking? I'm surprised 2 doesn't have more votes. Yeah, I am also. I am also surprised 2 doesn't have more votes. Also, let me close this because I have too many files open. Okay. Time to not upscale. What am I talking about? Number 7. So it's like a hellish landscape. Oh, no, it's not. It's gonna be like I'm trying to. So the theme for this one was basically like a hot lava, almost like underworld environment, except instead of just like all death and destruction, it would be like nice flowers and sort of sunshiny, like kind of feel nice and have a beautiful look to it. That was kind of the theme. Are you gonna vote me off the ship at this rate? Wait. Oh, wait. Dragon Gamer says I was watching some art videos on YouTube, which got me inspired. So I just looked into Twitch to see if there's an art community out there. Yes, there are art communities out here or in here. Here, I don't know, just here. There's art communities here, and they're amazing. Tons of great people, and just I normally don't try to hype up any one art community too much, but I will say the thing I love about the Twitch art community is that it's not necessarily first and foremost a place for artists. So you have people from all art backgrounds who are here because they like art, but they maybe only found it because they also had another interest. So you have people who have whole careers as engineers or doctors or lawyers or whatever. And then you also have people working in the games industry or working on movies, and they're on art or they're on Twitch maybe because they want to watch video games, or some of them are here because they like to watch art. But then we've all kind of collected around art, and now we're all kind of here. But it's actually a really cool, like wide range of people, and it's not just like beginner artists. It's not just professional artists. There's a wide range of people, from people who are just getting into it, people returning, people who've been doing it for many years, right? You have professionals, beginners, you have people who started with, wanting to do their own comics. You have people who got into it because of anime, people who, just want to do it professionally. There's fine art community artists, right? It's not one genre. Anyway, that's what I like about it. Or one of the things. Anyway, so I'm just going to paint out to the edges real quick. Extend the canvas a tad. Okay, now let's paint on this. Let's turn it into a thing. So I do want to emphasize the sort of the sun, the beautifulness of it. I think some nice flowers would be good. But I don't want to go too overboard with the flower field thing. I want some variation, I think. 7 for the win. Yeah, I like 7. Wait, a month then what do you mean? Wait, I think I missed something. Sorry. I was trying to read chat, but I'm pretty sure I've it looked like there is a character in the distance with a big hat. Oh yeah, it does. It does look like a character. Look, I see it. I see it right here. There's the character. He's waving. He's like, sup? Yeah, look at that. I like it. No, I don't think it's gonna stay there. More like luring. He's luring you in. This is a. Yeah, I don't know what I want to do there. I don't think I want to keep that, but we'll see. Okay, so this is also the point where if I were being a good artist and doing my due diligence, I would go out and find references and figure out what I want. Are there any black flowers? Is that a thing? Black flowers. Of course there's black flowers, but I just need to see some images to know. Sorry, one second. I'm just trying to find some quick references. Ooh, there's also the dark purple ones. Those are nice. And some red flowers. Okay, I have a few. Black flower. Let's see. Black flower field. No, not a flower field in black and white. Stop. Okay, whatever. That'll work. Death. Black roses. Yeah. Don't kill him. Wait, Geyser Gardener. Don't kill him. Oh, he's gonna die, probably. Not intentionally. I don't try to kill the stuff that is looking good, but sometimes there's, things that crop up in my images, like random faces that, yeah, they'll be deleted at some point. Black Eyes Susan. Okay. So, but we haven't gotten rid of it yet. Okay, so first things first, let's just start painting on this again. Adding in some additional little riverways. I feel like I really want to push the perspective. Um, or Jim. Wait, did we name him? He was named Jim? That wasn't my doing. Oh no. He's not gone though. He's still there. I'll try to leave him for a while. This is like a river, I guess. Toasty lay of oviparous eggs. Joe is one of the Greek fates guys. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? I feel like I'm confused today with a lot of stuff people are saying. I don't know what anything means. Okay, so I'm trying to make some lava rocks. Maybe there's some lava coming down the edges. That's where these are. Although I don't want to draw the eyes off the page, so maybe this is not a great spot for it. He controls Jim's fate. Oh, I see. I like the light in the picture. Yeah, the lighting is nice. It's kind of... Oh, not that. I have an issue a little bit with some of the stuff. Like, I think I could introduce some more purples to it and more grays, which I might do. I don't know. Lava colors are great. Yeah, I like them. I'm trying to build stuff up slowly. Also, let's get some more dark in the foreground. Also, let's switch brushes. I'm gonna switch to this brush. What do I want to do with these shapes? Maybe there's some tall shapes up here. Or maybe these little flowers. Maybe there's little black flowers here. Or maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want the flowers in our face. I don't know, a lot of this is experimentation. Those brush names get me every time. Oh, the Weta brushes? Yeah, these are the brushes by Void Brush. I actually I wanted to find some new brushes to try and use and sort of make it a habit of like every week I get a new batch of brushes to experiment with. I don't know how I want to do this because I'm really bad at like forcing myself to hunt things down and find new stuff. So maybe, and I realize we were just talking about this also, but maybe I could do this could be like a Twitter thing, right? Where like each week I tweet out like, hey, give me random brush sets, and I will, if you know of a location of a different brush set, it doesn't have to be your own, and I'll try it out. So that could be a thing. I don't know. I'm still kind of toying with the idea, but I don't see why I wouldn't do it. I like the idea that there are not flowers but dead birds. So yeah, I feel like that's too graveyardy. I don't know. I like the idea that there's flowers because I think that to me the bone idea is more. I feel like that's more to be expected. Okay, also, let me find something real quick. I know somebody. I don't typically like to do this. I'm gonna cheat. I'm not actually cheating. But I know there's an art, like, for example, Illustrator is a good example. He does a lot of flower fields, and I feel like sometimes it's good to just remind myself how other people paint things. Not that I'm trying to copy them, but I do occasionally like to see the variety and stuff. And then also just finding actual images of flower fields. Flower fields. Just so I can kind of compare between how people paint flowers and how actual flowers look. Yeah, there we go. Thank you for the shout out. Yeah, he might actually be streaming right now. Yeah, he's an artist that we like, or I like on the stream. I don't know if other people do. I don't want to speak for everyone. But no, as Illustrator's great, and yeah, he's a friend of the stream. We go over there sometimes. He comes over here sometimes, but he has a very painterly painting style as well, and so I do feel like, and he does a lot more flower fields than I do. So there's definitely somebody I look up to for a lot of things, and that's one of them. If you ever want to know how to paint clouds and flower fields, I feel like he could be a source of reference. Obviously, it's good to just go look at real flowers, though, and figure out how to paint them. Okay, I'm going to try to carve out some of these shapes, though, because right now, I think these shapes are not very exciting. And this is something from the video we watched yesterday on our hour of art tutorials that I do every Sunday. I don't do the tutorials, but I watch tutorials. There was a Tyler Edlin video, and he did a painting where he started out very graphical, which I like to do, but sometimes I think I transition too early into non-graphical stuff. And so I want to stay in this graphical area for a little bit, where I'm just carving out the shapes of these these rivers. I like Illustrator, but I spoiled his raid here one time. I'll never do that again. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't care too much, but I do think it's kind of Twitch etiquette not to spoil raids. Like, it's fun for it to be the surprise. I think one person saying, hey, there's a surprise coming. It's like, okay, thanks, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the response is supposed to be. But yeah. So anyway, I'm starting to like this. Okay, so also if this is a river way down far, we should be seeing that this is very intricate. There should be lots of little details here. Like these aren't just small rocks, right? These would be large rocks with lots of variation. Lots of little lots of little things, color notes here and there. Also, this song is out of control. Very intense. Anyway, so right now I'm just trying to focus on depth. Also, one thing that real lava has, and that I've looked at before, is that along the edge of the lava, which is actually very convenient for our needs from a composition and uh, contrast point of view, but along the edge of lava, it oftentimes gets very, very cool and it turns to black. So you actually get the darkest part of the. So you have this bright part next to contrasted by the dark part. It's kind of a nice thing. It's very convenient. Maybe there's black flowers down here by the lava. I don't think we should be able to see much down here, though. It's just going to be a texture. I don't think we can actually see the flowers. It's more just the hint of flowers. There are some rocks here, though. I think what I can make these rocks look a little bit larger. I guess rocks can also be down here. Maybe there's a little bit of old lava. Hey, Nicola, how are you? Yeah, it's a little bit of lava rocks or something down there maybe as well, and also up here. Really just anything to make these just look more and more vast. Also, I think this shape is not very good. I think one thing I oftentimes do is have everything is very here, let me show if I can paint it on here with green. I oftentimes have like foreground, background, midground, and foreground, right? And I have these essentially just horizontal lines, right? So maybe something like this, maybe something like this, maybe one like this, right? And everything is just very horizontal. And I don't oftentimes have a lot of stuff that comes into the painting, kind of like this, right? Which this one we actually do this time. But even here, right, if these are mountains, I don't have to have them just sideways, right? I can have one coming this way and the other coming that way, and then one going that way. Like, I can vary the depth, and that's what I want to do. So, like, I could make this mountain, for example, come towards us, and this one could be more on the side, so we can get a feeling of a different shape. do like this light, though. This light is neat. I wonder if I can't do something. A little bit of lava or light in here. Just trying to paint in the background a little bit. I do want to keep the stuff a little bit loose, though. I love seeing how shape language work in pretty much any kind of art medium style in different interesting ways. Yeah, I mean, this is so. Yeah, my shapes are not typically. I don't think my shapes are good. Shapes are something that I'm pretty bad at. Also, rest in peace, Tim. I think that was the name we've given him. Yeah, I feel like shapes are something that I struggle with. Um, I oftentimes do. Oh, Jim. Sorry, Jim. Rest in peace, Jim. But yeah, shapes are hard. At least on the small level, I can do the big shapes, but getting sort of interesting shapes within those shapes are difficult. Like the shapes of these flowers, for example, are just blobs. Everything is very blobby at this point. I did carve out these shapes a little bit. I think these are kind of nice. I think compositionally, so this whole shape, you know, that shape might be okay, right? I think these are kind of okay, but like specifically this shape, like that's not a very good shape, right? Like I could carve it up a little bit. Maybe do I want negative space in here? I don't know, right? There's sometimes I'm not quite sure how I want to approach stuff like that. So yeah, it's still something I'm working on. Always is. I mean, it's always an exploration and figuring stuff out. Also, there's things like tangents, right? Like this. I don't want this shape to feel like it's running into these other shapes. I also don't want these shapes to feel too intricate because they are further back, so they should be a little, well, I guess they can be jagged, but let's see, what else? Yeah, shapes are hard. They don't need to be something crazy, just something big. I know, but I think there's an intention. Oh, I just did a crash now. There's an intentionality behind shapes that I think can go a long way, and I think making shapes look intentional is the thing that I struggle with. So, like for example, I do think these shapes right here are. I think I've done an okay job, right? I think there's an intentionality to them, right? These little shapes like this, they feel kind of intentional. It's not. They're not super squiggly, and they don't look like I got lost along the way, right? They do have. I mean, there's even where they're a little rounded, it makes sense that they're rounded, but there's also a lot of hard angular shapes, and there's a mixture of both angled and round. I think that's good. Then sometimes there's like this, for example, the way these shapes in yellow flow into each other. Um, right? I think this is not great, right? There's kind of that tangent right here. They feel kind of unintentional. And I think I can do better, right? Maybe I separate that to make that shape flow into that one. It could even be that like this, I have a lot of convex shapes right here, right? Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want some of these to go the other way. Or maybe not. That one's not good. So yeah, a lot of times it's just playing around with the shapes and making them clear, readable, but also interesting, right? It's not just clarity. Some things that are clear are also just boring. I'm going to try to focus on the foreground a little bit. I'm not one to do a lot of detail, but I do feel like we need some sort of something in here. You never want to make the shape unrecognizable. Yeah, I mean, clarity is the name of the game. I mean, if you think of art as communication, right, you obviously want to be clear, and typically clear communication is intentional. Not always. Sometimes art is supposed to be unclear and vague, and it's supposed to be left up to the imagination, and people like that. I am not in that business, right? I definitely want my art to be clear. I want people to look at this and be like, wow, that's lava. Oh, those are flowers. These are mountains. This is a cool place, right? Like a place like this could exist in you know, what a cool world or something, right? Like I don't yeah, I definitely don't want it to be unclear what this is, or at least kind of the mood should be clear, right? There's certain elements of it that can be unclear, right? You don't need to know, you know, what this is if you zoom in, like that's not important. But on the whole, I think it should be kind of clear. Don't. Oh no, I'm not stressing at all. I am not somebody. If I'm coming across stress, I apologize. No, I'm not much of a stressor when it comes to art. At least I don't think so. Yeah, no, I definitely don't stress. I think I'm pretty have a pretty good attitude or sort of I know Ellie said, I think it was Ellie, right? Said when people use the word mindset. I think I have a pretty good mindset when it comes to art. I don't typically stress out about it. I try to be realistic. I'm literally painting fantasy environments after all. This is not a stressful, it should not be a stressful thing to do. Um, and yeah, I feel like if it is, maybe you gotta reevaluate why it's stressful, because it shouldn't be. Maybe some rocks here. Add little bits of plant life. I think some of these plants are okay. I do want to blur some edges in various spots just to make it more interesting. I think I'm past the point of clarity and getting into make it interesting. That's always a goal. Also, I want to play around with this a bit. I might change some colors. So first, I'm going to do something. I'm going to set this as my desktop background. This is a little trick, I guess you could call it. Um, I oftentimes, here, I'll show you. Can I show my desktop background? Let me minimize and see. I have a bunch of... okay, let's move some of these icons. These don't have to be here. Okay, there we go. I can share the rest. I'm going to share my desktop background. So what I do, I will oftentimes take the art that I'm working on and I will set it to my desktop background. So like right now it looks like this, right? This is my desktop. And I will set it as the painting so that when somehow it tricks my brain into seeing a new view. Obviously that was last stream's painting, right? And this is this stream's. But basically I will set it as my desktop background because when I do that, I'm viewing it as sort of a finished product. Like, oh, I only set finished paintings as my desktop background, and so now when I set this other painting as my background, for some reason I see it differently, and I suddenly see all of the stuff that I don't like about it. Right? It also happens if I tell myself I'm going to share it publicly. I also oftentimes will then notice all the things because I'm like, this image isn't good enough to be done. It's not finished. And then I was like, oh, well, what's not finished about it? And then I realize it. Okay, I see an issue with it. I see an issue. But I'm not sure how to fix it, actually. So my issue that I see is... So I have this foreground spot, right? And I kind of want it to lead into this, I think. So I think what I want is this stuff is not dark enough. Because it should be, if it's closer, right, it should be a little darker. But not so dark that it, I still want the edge to be clear. So I'm making this the brightest spot. I think that works. And then we can have little bright spots in here where there's implied that some lava is poking through. Also feel like we can put some flowers down there. Sort of dappling. No, not really dappling. Just sort of blobbing the shapes in. I don't want it too textured though. I do want to keep stuff simplified. Also lots of zooming out. I do like these shapes though, so maybe I'm gonna go back to this brush, this brush by Void Brush, and come back in and add in some of these textures. I do like them. Ah, hydrate, thanks. Thank you, Neo. How are you doing today, Neo? Also, what's everyone up to? Is anyone doing any art, and would anyone like to share? Anyone who's coming in for the first time, you're more than welcome to drop a link to socials if you'd like to share what you've been working on. Even if you aren't new, you can drop a link and share what you've been working on. I always like seeing what people are doing. If you do art, that is. If not, then welcome in. And if you don't do art, then what the heck is wrong with you? Just kidding. Cade Spart, or Kata's part. Kata's part or Kata's P art. I'm on the struggle bus with Procreate. Time to look up tutorials. Yeah. I don't know anything about Procreate. All I know is that all the hotkeys for the stuff is I don't know how I would learn that. They don't seem intuitive. Rona was showing me some of the hotkeys for Procreate and how you do stuff, and I think Steph was showing me too. And I just didn't understand. Like I don't know how would you remember what things are? Like I feel like I need a certain logic to my buttons, and so even if I forget something, I can at least know where to go look it up. And I don't know how I would look something up. I feel like you shouldn't need Google, right, to use a program. But also, I realize that you know, stuff on Windows is equally confusing. It's just I understand the logic behind it. The only hotkey I use is two-finger tap, which is undo. Okay. But then, yeah, but like, what if you want to rotate the canvas? What is that, like a three-finger tap and a little swiggle motion or something? Or like, you just never really know. And it feels weird. Like, I don't know how you would learn it. Working on some Legend of Zelda fan art in Procreate. Ooh, nice. Of course, if you want to share, please do. So I'm coming over here And I'm kind of blurring some of these edges. I don't know if this is a good choice or not. Oh, okay, I don't like that. Why is it doing that? What's this brush? That's not bad. So basically what I'm trying to do now. Oh, it's really easy. I find PC, CSP way more complicated, but again, it's what you start with. Yeah. I mean, I think also what you start with, but also just what you're used to. I don't know Mac at all, so everything about Mac seems confusing as heck. But yeah, I mean, obviously when you learn stuff, you get used to it. Um, but yeah, I guess for me, I have to know what's possible, and like I know the Windows style setup programs to where if I see someone do something and I know it's suddenly possible, then I know I can just go look it up somewhere. Either like I don't know. I guess I still look stuff up online, so that's not really a good argument. I guess I'm not really being quite yeah, I'm not really making these good faith arguments. I I realize I do Google stuff all the time if I don't know how to do something. I just shared my last work on Discord. Ooh, okay, I'll take a look. 1 second. Let me take a look. Also, I should probably resave. Okay, while that's happening, I'm gonna go to Discord. Go to art. Oh, this is nice. I like it. I like this a lot. It's very detailed. All the hair, the flowers, the patterns on the shirt. I think yeah, that's the shirt. The necklace, or not a necklace, a neck piece, I guess, whatever you call that. The triangular thingy. All the flowers. Yeah, this is very nice. I like this. This is very cool. I like the hair a lot too. Yeah, it's cool. I mean hair is super tough. I think you did a good job though. Yeah, I feel like hair is always a hard thing. I I'm not much of an over renderer because I don't like rendering. I tend not to spend a lot of time doing it. But of all the things that I have over rendered, hair is definitely one of them. And it's a feels like it's a nightmare situation kind of like knowing what to simplify, what not to, focusing on the big forms. Um, yeah, it's hard. I'm really tempted at adding another color or something in here, maybe some darker shapes. I'm just gonna experiment again. Hold on, let me try something. I'm gonna go to an overlay layer. I'm gonna take an airbrush. I'm gonna take a dark color. And I'm just gonna start darkening things. I realize this is gonna look not good, but that's okay. Start lightening it selectively. So basically, yeah, okay, I'm pretty happy with this. I like the darker colors around here. Adding a little bit of a vignette in here. So basically, these forms didn't feel like they had dark shadows anywhere. And now I just added some darker shadows in here. Also just added a bit of focus. think I like that a lot more. And of course, now I can come in here and paint with these new colors. So instead of just adding this perfect gradient, so yeah, I feel like this is just a nice little scene. I wonder, what if we put like a little some buildings or a village or something? I don't know. Curious what this would look like. Maybe a little houses over here. I don't think they would need chimneys. I have a hunch it would be too hot for that. Maybe they have chimneys, but instead of blowing out the hot air, there's like cold air. I don't know, some magical thing where they like some air conditioning, and this is like expelling the stuff. I don't know. I feel like we could put something here, some little buildings. That could be fun. Maybe there's a little walkway or something. Now, the only problem with this is when I add things like at the end, right? I decide this needs a building. The problem with that is oftentimes there isn't a repetition, right? It would be good if there was another building over here, maybe. And now I'm changing things, right? If this were a building, we could maybe start to get a sense of, oh, hey, there's buildings here, and now there's one up here, right? And like if these were buildings, at least then we could tell that, oh, hey, this is also a building. But that's not the case yet. Actually, I think I like that shape better, though. Anyway, I think we can maybe make these into buildings. Or something. Maybe this is built in the rocks. Again, I don't want these to be super in your face. In some ways, I don't want them to be seen at all. I just want them to be sort of like, oh, hey, there's buildings there. Only after we see this one. Maybe I'll put little negative shapes in here then, so that we actually see these first. I think that's not bad. Maybe some other shapes back here as well. I like the idea of building. Yeah, that's kind of neat. I'm not totally sold on the putting the buildings on the side, but I think it gives it a little bit of something. Anyway. Now I have to figure out architecture a little bit, but maybe they have an old fence. Maybe there's a fence over here too. Something like that could work. So yeah, we have the house here. Again, this isn't gonna be anything too crazy. I guess we could do like the crack of light from the door or something. Nah, I don't think we need it. There, we'll just go very, very light on the details here. Almost non-existent. Or maybe these shapes could be a little bit more simplified, though. I don't know. Deciding what shapes I want to do is always a thing. Do I want these a little more simplified? I mean, maybe. Maybe. I do like the idea, though, of this little roof thing. Just a little subtle overhang. No, not like that. There. This is something facing this way. Maybe there's some little stuff like this. Just trying to. I don't want to go overboard with architecture, but I do want to imply that it is not rubble, right? I don't want this to look like old ruins. I want enough implication of architecture that you can see that they're together, right? Because that's something that I think I struggle with. I oftentimes will just make things look old when I'm doing quick sketches. I think I can do a little bit of soft red light back here, though. There. I'm pretty happy with this, actually. Uh, let's see. What about here? I feel like this could also be one. I don't know. Do we put a house here? Or is that... Nah, probably not. Maybe there is one, but we just can't see it. Right, so we can put the fence. The fences could be, that can be a thing. I think sometimes you can imply stuff without actually showing it, and that's one of the cases where we have these fences here and here. So I can put fences, say, here without having to show that there's another house because the fences all are tied to a house. Technically, I could even put a fence in the foreground. Actually, that might be a good idea. Okay, that's it. That's it. Fence in the foreground, leading the eye into the image a bit. Maybe. Maybe not on this side. Maybe that side already has one. Maybe that. I think that'll work. I realize this is not, the perspective's not perfect, but I think these will work. Coming in here with the little fences. There, I'm happy with this. I think I am. So, okay, so there's a little confusion down here. Probably because I made these so quick and loose. But I think that's okay if we don't quite know what's happening down here. I mean, after all, it is... Okay, I'm making this pure black, by the way. Oh no, I dropped some frames. Did my stream die for anyone? Or am I still live? Maybe I'm not even alive right now. Or not alive, but live. I think I'm alive. No, all good for you. Same here. Didn't notice any issues. Okay, that's good. That is good. Nice. All right. It looks like I'm live then, and alive. Speaking of which, though, I am gonna end stream probably in about 10 minutes or so. It's gonna be kind of a short stream, shortish stream. And I think that's the reason it's going to be a short stream. Because I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm not really sure what to do on this painting anymore. I'm going to just... Basically, I just need a break. And it's kind of a good... It's a good break. It's a break that is because I'm doing well, kind of. Sometimes I struggle. That quote. Maybe I'm not even alive right now. Being existential. Yeah. No, but sometimes when my paintings are struggling, I end up spending a longer time on them because I sort of am trying to get them to look nice. So I'm sort of forcing myself to spend more time so that they look better, but then they never do. And this painting's kind of the opposite. I'm happy with how it's looking so far. And so I don't really know what I need to do on it, and I'm afraid of just overdoing it. GG. Emmanuel Botello, or Boteo? Botello, I don't know. Thank you, Emmanuel. How are you? So to think, this was a painting that came about. Was this a 5-minute thumbnail sketch? I don't know. This was a quick one, though. I think no, this wasn't a 5-minute, but this one took me about 5 minutes to do, or less. Not this whole painting, but the thumbnail. Yeah, let me give a quick recap of where we came from today, because I feel like this is a was a good process. Okay, time lapse export. Just a moment, it is loading, and while that's happening, I'm going to take a sip of drink of tea. Mm. Okay, so this is what we've done today. We start out with with some thumbnails, a bunch of little color blobs. Number 7 right there is the third thumbnail I did today. It honestly was very quick, but it quickly got the mood. Then I kept going, of course. I did like 5 more. Number 2 kind of appeared like magic because I copy and pasted it from a previous stream. Number 6, you can, oh, there we go. So yeah, let's pause that right here. So yeah, these were the thumbnails that we did today. We voted on number 7, down in the bottom left. And yeah, we honestly stuck to it pretty well. I'm not finished yet, but so far this is what we have. Honestly, I think that adding the dark right here was a good choice. Right, you can see it, the darkness come into play with. And there's what we have right now. I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. I know I keep saying that, but it is rare. It's rare, and I saw a post on the subreddit that I constantly make fun of because they're always super existential and negative in my opinion. But there was a post basically like, does it ever get any better? Do you ever stop hating your own work? And everyone is like, no. And you know, there's some truth to that. Like you're I think so much of the way that we paint, or at least the way that I paint, is to constantly look at your painting and you're essentially self-critiquing, right? You critique your own art until the point where you don't know what else to say about it, right? Because if you know that something doesn't look good, you fix it, right? So you constantly say, "What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it?" And then you fix those things that are wrong, and you're like, "Okay, now it's good," right? Like I fixed it. Like, and because you keep getting better at doing that, and you keep doing that more, like that is how you spend your life essentially, at least at doing art, is figuring out what doesn't look good with it, and then you squash those ugly parts and you keep making it better. But I feel like I'm more content with stuff lately. Like I can be happy with the what I've done. Like I might look at something like this and be like, I don't really like that little thing, but I'm not gonna hate my painting. Laying down the art philosophy. Yeah, I mean, well, there isn't. I mean, you essentially do constantly critique paintings. I mean, it is being critical, but I think there's a big difference between not necessarily loving the art, right? It's satisfactory, you know, but it's not amazing, versus I think I'm a bad artist, right? There's a big difference of like I know what I'm capable of doing, right? Sometimes I do have too high of standards for myself and I don't meet those, but I think getting in the habit of taking a step back and being like, ooh, that's, you know, not a good thing to do. So yeah, I don't know. I do feel like it gets better though. In which I it's weird to say because I don't think I would tell other people that. Right? If someone said, "Do you ever stop disliking your work?" I don't. I feel like it's I'm gonna use a League of Legends analogy. It's like playing a game that is so good that you don't even care when you lose because everybody played well and you were happy with your own play and you were happy with your teammates' play and you thought your opponents were good opponents. Like that doesn't happen, right? It happens like once in 1,000 games. Like that scenario is what you're chasing, right? Even when you lose, you hope that you play well and you hope that it was a good game. But that's never the case. There's always things of, this went wrong, that went wrong, this wasn't great, this was just a bad. Like, there's always something, right, to put the blame on. And I think that's how every painting is. There's always something to poke at and to say, this is what went wrong, and this is why it's not a great painting. But occasionally, there is the painting that just kind of works, and you're like, I'm really happy with this. It may not be the perfect painting, but it met my expectations and went above it, right? And that definitely happens. But I do feel like it happens more where my expectations are being met. So yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with this painting. For, sitting down, painting for 2 hours on this particular thumbnail, or I've only painted 1 hour on this thumbnail. I literally made essentially an hour and 15 minutes. Like, that was cruising. And again, it's not detailed, I realize. Actually, I can still come in here and maybe adjust some of these flowers. Or paint some flowers. But yeah, I mean, what, like 15 minutes on the thumbnail, and then we voted it an hour ago. So yeah, it's an hour and 15 minutes. Like, like I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but there is an element of that is a quick painting. Like, I recognize I mean, this isn't the finished painting, but it's certainly quick. Like, I would be a fool if I thought that I'm not painting quick here. Because this definitely came together quicker than most of my paintings. Like, if someone were like, I want to commission you for a painting, it's like, yeah, that's going to take me like 30 hours. Maybe. And I guess to really pat myself on the back, since I'm in this whatever the heck I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing this. Um, but we actually started out with a prompt for this one. And I even said we were going to do like a hellish scene, like in hell, but if hell were kind of beautiful and there was like flowers and sun and all that. Like, I kind of called it, and it kind of, I sort of stuck to it, which again is like that one in 1,000 painting thing. Very, very rarely do I know exactly what it's going to be, and it ends up being that. Love the Super War. Yeah, it's cool. I'm loving it, honestly. I mean, it's not perfect. I'm not totally sold on this shape right here. I feel like it's kind of a weird shape. But yeah, on the whole, I'm pretty happy. I do think, though, some of these foreground flowers, it would be fun to spend some time just rendering flowers. I say this as somebody who typically does not like rendering. But I do think there's an element that can be fun to rendering flowers. Oh, actually, I found a video today on YouTube. Um, I haven't watched it yet. I saved it for next Sunday. But it was like a video on. It was like a fine art guy who I think he does fine art or some sort of art, just depictions of just environments, a lot of architecture painting. No known artist, or not. Or, sorry, that's rude. No artist that I am aware of. Right, he was very. I think he was like one of, like some just independent career artist who does stuff for himself and has made a living by it, but not a YouTube personality type guy. He was more of just you know, here's art and I decided to start a YouTube channel kind of person. I don't know if that makes sense, but like he's not like a Marco Bucci type person, right? Who's like creates content for education. This is just like a guy talking about his art. And anyway, this particular video seems like he goes into some good detail about sort of how to imply detail, how, how much he loves detail, but yet people are always, even in his detailed paintings, he will have to simplify because, or maybe he is a known YouTuber, I don't know. But anyway, but he talks about how like even in real life, if he wants to paint a cityscape, there's just too much detail for him to paint, so he has to simplify and how he goes about that and how he makes those choices. I don't know. It seemed like a cool video to watch, which is nothing super new, but it was. I thought it was an interesting take because the guy seemed like he was coming at it from a different perspective, right? He's not like your go-to art educator. And where the heck is the slideshow? It slid into non-existent. Hold on. Let me find the YouTuber name. I have to make sure I'm in my YouTube. Sunday Art. The name of the video is The Secret to Drawing Overwhelming Detail. Okay, that sounds pretty clickbaity. Uh, Stephen Travers Art, or Stephen Travers Art is the name of the. I don't know if it's good. I don't know anything about this guy. I'm gonna click on his channel. Maybe I guess he has a lot of videos. Never mind. Maybe he is like a big name dude who does a lot of YouTube stuff. He has 400 videos. Okay, never mind. This guy makes a crap ton of videos. Anyway, that's the anyway. I never have seen this guy. I don't know if he's good. I take that back. He's clearly a good artist. I don't know if he's a good communicator or not. Certainly better than I am at this moment. I'm stumbling to even say words. But yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna look into his stuff next Sunday. Some of the stuff we're gonna watch, or I'm gonna watch. And anyone is welcome to join, of course. I watch them in Discord every Sunday. Alrighty. But yeah, I'm just trying to right now. I am. I'm not trying to paint all the detail. That's why I brought him up because I'm not trying to paint all the detail. I'm just trying to imply it, creating interesting patterns of light and shadow. Except he does architecture stuff. I'm doing obviously very organic shapes. But anyway, so yeah, that was a YouTuber that I found and I'm pretty happy with from what I can tell. I watched like the first 30 seconds of that video. Yeah, he seemed like he knew what he's talking about. So it's always fun to discover new stuff. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with like trying to have a healthy diet of art stuff by finding new people and staying up to date. Even if it's somebody that maybe a lot of people are learning from, I think it's good to sort of have variety. Gotta get that variety in the diet, the art diet. I might be overdoing it on this foreground. guess one way to make sure I'm not overdoing it is by overdoing it even more in the midground. Maybe that's not a good solution. Like varying this edge a little bit. There. And these edges could be varied. This edge, I don't know if the whole thing should be varied like this, but I do feel like these edges could be varied. They are the edges that we're looking down on. And yeah, let's end the stream here. I'm pretty happy. Actually, not quite. Hold on. I'm gonna do the blur brush, and I'm gonna blend some of these things up here. And the reason I'm blending them is because we had, when I extended the canvas, we had some of the clear stuff sticking through. Also, there's some stuff like this, which I'm not really sure how I want to approach. Some edges that are... There are little bits of stuff sticking up. Just little tiny things that break the silhouette. Just some texture. So if we do zoom in, not that anybody would ever zoom in on this painting, but if they did, there'd be little bits of detail. Just some little textures in here. I don't know. Maybe this is actually not a good thing. Maybe I'm going a little overboard. But I think it's nice. Adding some small shapes back here. Or maybe not right there. Right here. And then these little shapes that break up in front of it. Same in here. We can have little breaks. And then in these breaks, we can separate them into like small, medium, large lines. But only in front, right? I don't want to go like this because this isn't the... Right? We're not seeing in the front, or this is the front, so we would only see in the back edge we would have the lines. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Like things like this even, but this is already a small shape. You know, maybe some down here. Maybe some down there. Yeah. I think that's... does make you wonder who decided to build with wood next to... I mean, we don't know for sure if it's wood. It just looks like wood because I textured it wrong. But maybe it's carved stone. So maybe these are just grooves of stone so that when the lava rains from above, right? When you get the lava rain, the grooves help it come off better because it needs some, I don't know. I'm just making this up. Maybe they're stone, right? It does look like wood. I agree, but and yeah, and why is this a fence? Yeah, that's true. That's true. This totally is a wooden fence. You're right. I was gonna say maybe the homes are stone. The fence does look like wood, but I don't know. Maybe it's very maybe the weather here is extremely consistent. It could be an unknown mysterious material that's invincible to lava. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. Or they could be maybe they were reminiscent of the old days, so they made casts and then they poured the lava into them. So maybe this is actually these are you know how people will make concrete to look like wood? They'll put like the wood grains and stuff in it, and they have you seen that? They like I think it's the moldings for the concrete make it look like it's wood. They'll have textured concrete. I think that's what it's called. Just textured. Let me find an image of it. Textured concrete. Yeah, so they also have things like things that'll look like stone. This is an ad, but I think it will. Like they'll have ones that look like a brick. It wasn't a critique. Oh, I know. I'm just now going down the what if rabbit hole because I think it's interesting. Um, yeah, so there's stuff like this. This is very tiny, but there's text. This is concrete. It's not wood, right? It's moldings for to make it look like concrete. And this is a thing that is it exists elsewhere. Here's another one. This is concrete that's made. It has even has they put the little holes in it to make it look like wood. So I could see if you were in an environment where you didn't have the right building materials, you could still design stuff to look like a certain thing. Um, and then we also have textured concrete of brick that looks like bricks. Um, of course, I feel like a lot of people have seen these. I think my middle school was made out of that. But anyway, yeah, so there's some interesting textures. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna end here. Thank you all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. It means a lot that you guys stuck around. Anyone who came in from the Silasay raid, thanks for being here. And we are going to find somebody to raid. If you have any recommendations, feel free to put them in chat. Thank you, Steph, for the schedule. Yeah, as the schedule thing shows, I stream Monday, Thursday, and Saturdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, which is 8 p.m., I believe, Central European time. Does this community have a Discord? Yes, we do have a Discord. We do have a Discord. Oh, what about David Peterson? Maybe we should go raid him. Or we could raid Chlor. Have we raided Chlor recently? I'm gonna raid Chlor. I like raiding Chlor. Also, I feel like our painting today is kind of like her stuff. I feel like we did a lot more hard edges. Well, it's still pretty painterly, but I think it'll work. Real sub. Yeah, I gotta change that, Steph. Yeah, I gotta change the sub rate because one of these days. Also, one of these days we will gift sub Streamlabs so that Streamlabs can post the sub call or whatever properly. Because right now, yeah, right now it doesn't work. Anyway, Kylan Nezer, how are you, Kylinezer? Anyway, thank you for the follow. But yeah, we are gonna raid Chlor / raid KLOIRR. There we go. Did I spell it right? Yeah. But yeah, have a great rest of the day, everyone. Thank you for being here. You're Kylan. Okay. Kylan. Gotcha. Kylan Azur. That makes way more sense. But yeah, you came in at the very end of stream. We are ending today. But this is what we did today. We started out with a bunch of thumbnails, then we worked on it for a bit, and then we voted, and then we turned it into a painting. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result. It's, it's not finished. It's obviously still a very loose and painterly or sketchy painting. But yeah, that's something. Anyway, take care, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Hope to see you on Thursday, and have a good rest of your week. Bye.